Yeah, so
is very good.
I do genuinely want to talk about the Overwatch. I don't know if we're saying goodbye to you all already. I guess we are. They've just cut it off. So goodbye, Desk. This game here, I'm actually quite surprised as well at the Desk. Josh has been leaning towards the Chengdu Hunters here in our Countdown Cup finals here, because it was the Gladiators who came through the upper bracket, and obviously the Chengdu Hunters, they've looked strong. I mean, they're 3-0ing all of their opponents as they were running it down in the lower bracket.
Absolutely.
But it was that kind of performing in the real tail moments of that map 5 when they were playing Gladiators versus Chengdu very early on. I would still say I think that the edge, in my opinion, goes to the Gladiators here.
Okay, so I love this as well because it is really valid in this game to take either side of the coin. A lot of people are going to come away from the prior match that they had saying, well, Chengdu have more to learn from that game. They played a little lower than their average, and then when you see them sweep through the lower bracket, but both of these teams are phenomenal. To me, it's Gladiators' game to win or lose, actually. If they perform at the same form, the consistency that we've seen from them thus far in Hawaii, I think they can take it. I think they can win it. But if some of those nerves start to step in, if the fact that they haven't had big match experience and played in a stage final before, if those kind of issues creep in, Chengdu might just be able to close things out.
Yeah, it's entirely possible as well. I think it was a large part of it has been kind of slight underperforming from certain individual members of Chengdu as well in that map 5 that caused them to potentially, you know, end up catching the loss to the Gladiators previously. Let's take a look at the starters here. I mean, there's not going to be anything out of the ordinary. Gaga, obviously, in as well. And this is something that Custer was highlighting as an individual who's been dying a lot when he's been playing this Wrecking Ball. It's unusual, honestly. For some, I suppose the narratives that were kind of surrounding this guy was that, you know, he is going to be the dominant Wrecking Ball player in the Overwatch League. It's what he's been brought in for as well when he joined this team. And yeah, the defs have been pretty outlandish, I would say, in terms of his deaths per 10 minutes on that Wrecking Ball character.
We saw some of them that were truly absurd, like Gaga going for the touch the spawn challenge, and he ends up getting caught on it. But most of what he's doing is just, I think, he has the responsibility on this team of making a lot of space when they play, for example, Farah Hanzo compositions. It's not like he really has someone on the ground to coordinate with and to help him. Late Young's mostly peeling for the back line, and so Gaga is left on his own, often playing into comps that have Orissas or Briggs or something like that that can really punish him. It's hard out there being a Wrecking Ball, and Gaga is still one of the best.
And his opponents are definitely going to be coming out swinging in that regard. Kevster, a large part of the reason why you see those high deaths per 10 minutes on Gaga has been largely because of his tracer play as well, constantly tracking and marking specific targets. They don't let him get away with murder, which I suppose he's kind of used to as well, playing in APAC sometimes against some of the caliber of the teams. It's hard to really compare that kind of talent to what the Gladiators is offering here. Almost every single role is just packed with mechanical ability.
Oh, that's absolutely true. The Gladiators in the preseason, people were expecting them to go to stage finals, win stage finals, maybe even win the championship at the end. That's how high the expectations were for this roster. Have they been there? Not the entire year, but we've seen glimpses of it, and this is them at their peak right now. Throughout the whole of this year, the Gladiators are playing their best Overwatch right now, and that's the perfect time to peak. Remember, everyone at home, this is our last game of the regular season. From here on out, it's all postseason, baby. We're talking play-ins, playoffs. You bring your A game at the end of the season, and the Gladiators are peaking at the right time.
It's exactly what you want, and of course, because it is the grand finals of the Countdown Cup, it's going to be first to 4, Oasis being our first map. That is how many potential maps we could be seeing. Maybe even more if we get some draws involved. You never know with these two teams. They are quite closely matched. Oasis as well is a map that these two teams have battled against one another on before, and the Gladiators are probably going to be looking to come out with some pretty familiar stuff, I imagine. They seem like they've got a good game plan, I would imagine, as well, if they can be bringing it onto Oasis.
Yeah, we saw the control maps flip-flop either way. So Chengdu took the first one, Gladiators took the last one, and it was, in fact, on Oasis where we saw these dodgy Sombra plays coming out. I do want to reiterate again, though, Leave's Sombra neutral game, the hacks he was getting, the pressure he was applying, the damage he was doing, how quickly he was building his EMPs, all of that stuff was extremely good. It was just the ultimates that he was whiffing, and if you look at the replays, he was beefing them because he was popping them half a second early as he walked around a corner. So the players weren't in line of sight of him because he hadn't actually taken that like 1-2 extra steps around the corner to see them. That, to me, is such an easy mistake to try and correct. And he can just go back to that board and take a quick look at it, and they should come into here with all the confidence in the world if they want to play that.
Well, heading into the university section, we're seeing Leave on the Hangzhou, which is a role that he has not been underperforming on. And the Gladiators going to be matching with kind of an Orisa-based stuff here, yeah.
Kevster already sneaking into the backline. Both of these backlines are pretty weak to a Tracer.
And you can see, look at that, Leave already taking a boatload of damage, just has to back off around the corner and get the heals necessary. Leighton also going to be peeling for him. Slow and steady, really, is the way that the Gladiators are taking this for now. They've got a lot of positioning onto the point, but trading out. That's already Leave and Jinmu finding some opening pickoffs. Despite Gaga going down, he created enough space for them to at least capitalize off of it. Still, the Gladiators not giving up. They are going to get early control of this point and its objective. It looks like the team fight inevitably is going to be going here to the Chengdu Hunters, especially off the back of that ultimate. A very fast barrage being built by Jinmu, and pretty much all the pickoffs are coming off the back of a lot of the damage that he's doing.
Yeah, Jinmu did a great job in the middle of that too, because as Kevster comes towards the backline and pressures Leave, Eviltil has to peel himself away. Eviltil has a really kind of anchor position where he has to choose whether to support Jinmu or go and peel for the backline, and his decision-making is going to be vitally important.
Oh, that is so much pressure as well, and Kevster has got himself into a prime position to take down everybody. Just following up on these Discord orbs, it's perfect placement from Skewed. We've been bigging up the Brigitte play from Skewed's perspective, but on the Zenyatta as well, he's been a really valuable asset for this entire squad as well, and that coordination with Kevster is going to be so important moving into this series.
It really is. I mean, he has a chance to be able to work around right now. That could be great for them. Leave's probably going to use his Dragon Strike to try and force positioning. Transcendence could just deny that. They could go aggressive with it pretty early on. Here it comes. There's the Dragon Strike. Muse isolated.
Yeah, Skew going to be actually using that Transcendence nice and early on in his team fight just to try and keep the team alive. Birdering is taken out though. That's a damage boost onto Leave to help him out. The self-destruct won't get too much either. Leon just using it to try and push the Gladiators away from them.
Uh-oh.
But they are still in control, actually. They flip the point back over Leave. What is that? Flick over the wrist straight into Kevster. Takes him out early, but still the Gladiators in control of this. With Monk falling, they have an opportunity to try and at least regain and hold control of this point, and especially with the pickoffs that they're getting. The Amp Matrix from the side, Shu, has got so much damage that he's just outputting into them.
Amazing coordination there from Skew and Shude, but here it comes. Jinmu with the barrage set up from that halt. Gaga with a pulse on him.
Still dangerous.
Excellent work from Leighton, just keeping him alive. Can they find the kill here on the main tank? Yes. It's going to come through eventually, and the Gladiators still have control of this point.
Kevster has no recoil, yet he's still just trying to put the damage into Leave to try and take the 1v1 away. Still the Gladiators in control of this as well. Eviltil this time, again whipping out the pistol. And hopefully that's going to be enough for them to try and turn this one. You can see Jinmu actually onto the Genji just to get back in and give them a bit more burst damage in this subsequent team fight. Finally, they wrangle control away from the Gladiators, but only just.
This is going to be really difficult for Chengdu, but the comp that they're on with the ball and now the Genji does abuse Shu and Skewed in the backline. This is a really greedy backline. It doesn't peel for itself very nicely. So if Leave and Jinmu can get deep and get aggressive onto the Gladiators there, assuming Kevster doesn't do the same to them, this could be successful, but they have to be aggressive on defense.
Gaga's rollout getting messed up a little bit there. Pulse Bomb doesn't do too much, but it does at least force Skew to use his Transcendence. Gladiators are looking to try and at least capitalize off the extra healing that's coming their way. Shu as well. That is such an aggressive position. Trying to take the volley around the approach right into the Amp Matrix, and Gaga just sets up the kill beautifully into the pile driver. Of course, the Chengdu Hunters going to be playing aggressively into this one. They're going to be trying to get as many stagger kills as possible to generate the ultimates for the next team fight.
And now the Gladiators make a swap. Shu is going to, continue on the bath, but Skewed making the move over to Brick. That gives them extra ability to deal with Leave and Jinmu. Jinmu close to the blade as well. If you just pop a damage boost on that, it could be deadly, but they're facing up against a supercharger. Advantage definitely to the Gladiators in this final fight.
Oh, especially with Kevster in this back position right now. Jinmu ends up using the blade, and it does at least force out that immortality.
No
field.
way.
He gets a kill out of it as well. Still, space of the self-destruct. He'll be sending it out. Jinmu just with the shurikens just coming through. Yeah, straight through the shield, and that's Muse removed. The fight's not over, though. The Gladiators still have a chance to try and win this, especially as they've wrangled the point control back over to them. Kevster winning that one out. Jinmu's going to be falling here, but now Kevster's got a large task ahead of him to try and win this one. 8 HP, not going to be winning it, but the post-bomb eventually removing leave. Still the Chengdu Hunters, though, with all the kills in the world. The res onto Jinmu. It's meaning going to be having a lot more damage as well to work with in the tail end of this round, and it will be going in their direction. A very aggressive play from the Chengdu Hunters of that final team fight as well. Not letting the Gladiators set up with that supercharger.
A great decision-making by Chengdu, and what a comeback! They were at 35% to the Gladiators' 93 or something, so they had to win every single team fight from there on out, 3-4 in a row. And they did. That swap from Jinmu and Gaga to pick up the Genji and the ball instead of playing Orisa mirrors was great because it punishes Shu and Skewed in the back. Anytime you see Skewed move away from Brig, I think that's where Chengdu need to be pulling out those picks. Either the Tracer Genji or the Tracer Sombra, but they need to put Gaga on ball and have some kind of dive element to punish that. They should be, the Gladiators should feel uncomfortable to ever run Bap Zen.
Now we see the Wrecking Ball in play for both of these teams. Jinmu on the Sombra with leave on Tracer, so leaning more towards the comfort roles for them as well. Jinmu's Sombra has been, it's been pretty good, honestly. Over the course of the season, been making pretty drastic improvements towards it. You can see Gaga's trying to set something up. There's the power drive, the bubble applied. So he's surviving for just but a moment. The adaptive shields have already been burnt down, and he is going to go down. Still, but the Chengdu Hunters are not going to be wasting that opportunity. They play right off the back of it. Late Young comes around the corner, and they pincer right into them. Kevster's going to try and turn it now. Some heroics coming through as Muse also dives into them, but still, all the kills being collected, 50% up to the Grav. Late Young was just pumping in the damage that entire time.
And you can say, oh, Gaga has so many first picks, Gaga's feeding, whatever. He sets up his team there for that success. Comes in with the early pile drive and then boops them together, just harassing them into a corner for the rest of his team to finish off. And Late Young gets all of that charge, finishes the backline. Again, the focus on Shu and Skewed.
Gets him with the hack, actually. He can't really do anything about it. Yeah, he can't blink. Can't get out of there. Beautiful play by Jinmu with that neutral hack. What a play. And it should be just a team fight win. The Pulse Bomb's going to be committed into this because it is getting a bit dicey. The Gladiators in close quarters, they got a lot of damage that they can output. Late Young gets taken out, I think, by Space when he was demeched. A bit of a critical mistake, honestly. Late Young's going to be missing a lot of charge now in this fight. And the Gladiators, they continue to try and fight this. They are going to be still staggering out a couple of these players, though, as Chengdu do have a nice little forward hold going on as it stands. Gladiators finding it difficult as well. But now they're going to be regrouping and reapproaching for the next team fight.
So the only bad part about that is Late Young no longer has the charge, but Chengdu have all the ults in the world.
Good armor pack, actually. It's going to be saving Shu, actually, even though the EMP connected onto him. And Kevster, that's a Discord Orb onto Jinmu, has helped him get that kill. Rally now going to be used, though, from both of these teams. The Chengdu Hunters looking to try and use the extra healing, but the support ults are now starting to fade, and Gladiators have positioning over the point. Going to get past this choke point. Started playing around it. There's the grab into the backline, and there's really nothing to stop it. Shu, though, that's a Transcendence going to be used. He had that saved. There's a lot of heals going their way. Birdering the tactical visor really is getting annoying now for the Chengdu Hunters, and it should be to flip over to the Gladiators. This is their team fight to win.
That entire team fight was won by Skewed. The peel for Shu is what wins them that. Chengdu use their EMP, try and go aggressive. They got Jinmu and Leave shooting at the Zen in the Gladiators backline. Skewed keeps him alive, and that gives them double support ultimates to win the fight. Great play there from the backline of the Gladiators, and already starting to see it's really dictated by whether Chengdu are able to get the kill early on into one of the support players from Gladiators.
Now we see it's a bit of an uphill battle here for the Gladiators, even with control. It's good by Kevster. He's just getting the mark there onto Jinmu. Oh my, use the recall though to back away, and Gaga is going to be there, but look at that. The Gladiators are more than happy to take the team fight a bit further forwards. Shu goes down at the tail, and Monk
what a shot.
Wins out the fight against Kevster. Leaves still alive as well. This was looking largely won here for the Gladiators as well, off the back of Space still being able to clean that up onto the remaining targets. So they did salvage that, but a little bit scary for a moment.
A bit sketch. Look at the ult charge difference between Skewed and Eviltol. Skewed is getting up to another rally already. That is going to be a game changer. He's going to outpace Jinmu, so when this EMP comes out, the Gladiators will have so much sustain available to them. That could really tip the tide of the fight in favor of LA.
Yeah, and we're looking now as it's getting into 70% and counting. The Chengdu Hunters looking to turn it around. What a hack onto Kevster! That's Jinmu again finding these neutral hacks onto the opposing Tracer just to set up Lee for the easy dunking. He's found one. There's the mines tossed up onto the high ground. Part of them going down low. That Shu falling. Pulse bomb as well. Leave really just gave no options to Skewed. He couldn't move anywhere. With the Discord orb now just dropped onto Muse. He can't do anything. It's 90% here for the Gladiators. They're going to get one more opportunity to contest this.
But they don't have a big ultimate like the EMP to come in through. Skewed actually used his rally in the middle of that fight, but Shu died anyway. The Gladiators got picked apart as soon as Kevster died. It all went wrong from there. And now Jinmu should have a very easy EMP and cleanup. He's just harassing. He's trying to force out the trance early on.
Yeah, he's exactly. He wants that ult being pulled out of him. Overtime's now going to be ticking though, and this could be the map right now. Chengdu Hunters, they've got to go around advantage with Muse hacked up and gone down. Jinmu has really just been the MVP of this round. A lot of the neutral hacks he's coming out. He's still holding on to the EMP, and with Shu using the Transcendence to salvage, there's nothing to stop it now. The EMP comes through. Not too many targets going to be caught with it, but it might not even matter at the end of the day. Leave following up on all of the damage that's being done as Gaga's just bashing around various targets. That is going to be just a monstrous performance from him alongside his DPS duo, and they are going to be able to close out that map. A pretty tremendous performance there from the Chengdu Hunters as well, rectifying a lot of the mistakes that they perhaps were making as well the last time these two teams faced off.
It could not have gone in a more different manner. Oasis, if you compare their prior game in the Countdown Cup to this one, absolute dominance from Chengdu, everything working perfectly. And like you said, Brent, Jinmu has got to be your MVP of our first map there. Not only for what he's able to do when he's playing the Genji in the first round and the Pharah and that kind of stuff, but his Sombra found the crucial manual hack targets every time. Kevster got punished multiple times. Muse got punished as well. Yeah. He's in the back line, continue the pressure, just the aggression from Hunters worked outstandingly well.
It's incredible the transformation this guy's had from kind of the beginning of his career in the Overwatch League, and he was kind of, spoken about as a bit of a meme. The guy, he played with no remorse towards the enemy. He would dive in with no regard to his own life, but now he's evolved. He's a bit more of a smarter player these days, and it is a bit of a win condition now for the Chengdu Hunters moving into this series. Going to go to a short break, and obviously this series and the grand finals is going to be continuing on the other side of it, so do not go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen.
这是来牛逼大妈，哎，去了还有大妈，保着就行，掉黑了，丢死，
来一下兄弟们，10人滴血，
来，球没勾，那是，
哦牛逼，我操，我全程保着啊，小操，我抡出去了，我操。
The Overwatch League is brought to you by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
before we get into the game, we want to give a special shout out to everybody at the University of Hawaii at Manoa, and they've been gracious hosts to all of our staff who were able to travel out to Hawaii. And without its help of the university and its esports club, well, the Countdown Cup would not have been possible. So a big thank you to the University of Hawaii at Manoa once again for helping us out run this fantastic tournament. And yeah, so far it has been absolutely magical as well. And still blows my mind, Josh, every time I'm reminded of the weird internet routing infrastructure that's in place as well to make this happen, an international tournament, yet you know, still possible within the I suppose the restrictions of the COVID world that we're living in.
Yeah, it is madness, isn't it? And you know, it's been a great addition to this year. The stage finals that we've seen and the clashes of East versus West have been truly phenomenal. You know, most of this year has been dictated by Dallas versus Shanghai. Now we're seeing the Chengdu Hunters, who've been to 3 separate stage finals as well, tying up Dallas and Shanghai for the 2021 season, start to get their foot into gear here and maybe grab one of those stage finals away. It's Gladiators' first time this year in a stage final too, and they also have a decent chance of winning this match. It is very early days. I'm very interested, Brent, to follow kind of how both of these teams look as we get deeper and deeper into the series, because we're going to see a lot of repeated maps from last time, like this one.
Yeah, heading to Anubis again, and quite a controversial one, I suppose. It's going to be intriguing seeing how it plays out over the course of the series as well, especially given the fact that we've already seen a repeat map in the form of Oasis, and it's gone the way of the Chengdu Hunters this time around, which,
yeah, I mean,
I don't know
both of these maps went to Gladiators last time. That was 2 out of 3 of the map wins that they got. And just to speak on the last time they played Anubis a little bit, Leave played a lot of Genji. That looked amazing for them. Their backline could not survive properly. And they also, on defense of Anubis B, played an Orisa comp, which is really weird. Chengdu should stick to Gaga and Winston for the entirety of this map as far as I'm concerned, especially on B defense. We've seen those aggressive defenses of Anubis B. They're just the meta right now. It's the best way to play the map. So again, things that Chengdu can fix to get them over the performance of the Gladiators. That's why I think a lot of people, especially on the desk, were predicting Chengdu to win this game despite the fact they actually lost the BO5 earlier.
Especially because of how good they looked as well in the prior games as well. They're just kind of rolling through every opponent that they were facing in the lower bracket.
Okay, immediately defying me, Brent. I said that their best chances would be to stick to the Winston Ana comp. And on attack here, we're seeing them go for essentially what they were running on Oasis. You know, the ball, Tracer, Sombra, and a Zen in the back. Monk and Eviltal are going to be very susceptible to Muse's dives.
There's the first dive happening, and already you see it, yeah. The coordination. They collapse onto the backline of the Chengdu Hunters with nowhere to run, their backs against the wall.
Much better.
It's an easy teamfight win for them. Staggering up a lot of these players. And an important team fight to win for the Gladiators on this first, honestly, team fight, because look at the ultimates being generated now. Their composition revolves a lot around the cycling of the Nano Boost and the Primal Rage and the EMPs as well. That early lead is going to give them a huge edge leading into this this defense right now.
It definitely is. Shu almost has a Nano. And what can Monkey and Eviltal do against a Nano Boost? Nothing really. The Chengdu Hunters are waiting for their ults to be able to come online. Muse with the Discord though, he must stay alive here. Gets bashed as well, and Shu saves him.
Yeah, Birdwing's just trying to make it happen as well into the back. That's an Nano Boost applied. Hughes, the Discord Orb is on him. Eventually it's going to fade away, but he's already built up this Primal Rage and got a pick off onto Evital. It's not really too much that the Chengdu Hunters can do in this scenario. They've just got to back off and get the healing done. So Gaga is with the rest of his team. Just going to be slowly getting healed up by the Harmony Orb. It's slow going, obviously. Evital doesn't want to expend all of the armor packs that they have available.
And Brent, this next team fight defines the map to me. Chengdu are going to use double support ultimate here, and there's an EMP from Birdring. Who wins out?
Oh, the EMP up close and personal! It's caught onto them. Monk could not get the Transcendence off. It's a huge counter EMP from Jinmu, but will there be any form of follow-up? Kipster laying down the Pulse Bomb. That was the easiest target in the world. Gaga just sitting there in the doorway. Still, an even fight. The Chengdu Hunters looking to fight tooth and nail to try and get back into this one. But you can see that Evital's just been pushed all the way back out of the choke point. Leave it to leave, though. Might be able to try and turn this around, especially coordinating off the back of Gaga when he is diving in. This is a lot of space being gained, considering that Monk was out of this team fight from the very beginning. The fact that they have control of the point is astounding.
Leave did everything. I mean, he just powered forwards, but they're not giving this up. The Gladiators have gone in. Nana onto Muse. He gets bashed. Primal used as well. Trying to separate Monk from a target so that they can isolate somebody, but it's difficult work out here for a Monkey.
Yeah, and the Primal Rage kind of got overlapped a little bit there with the Nana boost, but that's okay. The Gladiators obviously just capitalizing right off the back of it, taking all the space that Muse was creating. Muse will eventually pay with his life, but they pushed them away. The Chengdu Hunters not going to be getting away with the full completion on checkpoint A. 88.4% is all they're going to be getting here. And back to the drawing board as well.
This looks like it's going to be done. Birdring has EMP just to shut this one out. Shut the door in Chengdu's face. Yveltal's going to be a while away from the rally. If they go for something aggressive here, sure, they might lose Muse. But if they all commit and follow up, the Gladiators can win this next team fight. EMP Bio could just destroy them.
The Monk's gone, and they've already dove into the backline here. Birdring's got EMP. He's going to catch onto 2 targets, and in fact, Jinmu's one of them, and he can't use the EMP of his own. 16 seconds left. Chengdu have just absolutely toppled over. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to touch either, Josh. You can see Gaga is behind them, but he is being marked by space currently. And now it comes down to 4 seconds. He just about gets on, but he is so low right now. No more adaptive shields either. Leave has got this kill onto Birdring, and now the EMP comes through. The rally in time, no one's going to be able to touch.
Oh, a tragedy for Chengdu when it looked like that fight may have just been winnable for them. Having said that, the Gladiators had double support ult, and frankly, the map was lost way earlier. Bren, my mind has been boggled by the fact that Chengdu's takeaway from their domination in the lower bracket and their loss to the Gladiators was, we should play ball Zen on this map. I just don't understand why you would go in that direction when Chengdu, they looked so good when they were playing Winston Ana comps here. And almost everyone else is playing that as the meta. You just have less ability to create space for the rest of your team and set up win conditions and build up big ult banks that are useful. Chengdu got destroyed way too easily here. I think the Gladiators have dodged a massive bullet. This is of Chengdu's own doing if they lose Anubis.
Bizarre, really, isn't it? The decisions being made here, but in terms of the Gladiators, I think they are going to be absolutely buzzing off the back of that. You lose map 1, and you start to think, oh my goodness, this could snowball into something very dangerous. But when you get that hold on checkpoint A of Anubis, you're thinking, wow, okay, never mind. It's a complete 180, I think, and shift of momentum in terms of how this series could potentially start to go now. Gladiators now with the task of just closing it out. 88.4%. That's all they have to get on checkpoint A. And they're going to be running the same Winston Ana composition, this thing that rotates around these ultimates. All they've got to do is essentially build it up, and they can almost just win team fights and win this first point off the back of that alone.
Yeah, the reason why the attacking team is normally favored here is because Muse can choose how much damage he's taking and then feed that ult charge to Shu. Shu should be able to build up a nano boost significantly faster than Monk can, and it's an overwhelming advantage early on. They can also use that distraction to try and then get their backline up towards the top right. And they're not really in danger here. They're just doing these soft little pokes in to take some damage. And look, Shu's already 30% ahead of Monk. 30% ahead. Good whip shot, though.
Yeah, that pushes Muse completely back, and Kevster doesn't have recall anymore. You can see that they're applying a lot of pressure. It's quite dangerous for them. Shu trying to hit the sleep down of a Century. Almost got it, but now it's the nano boost. That's going to be just slapped right onto Muse. He says, go on, get in there, son. And that's already 1 kill going away. Space just opened up right now as well. Muse, the tank line, just really just forcing their way into checkpoint A. And the Chengdu Hunters, without a leg to stand on. Leave and Jinmu do have ultimates, but in what world are they going to be able to turn this right now? It doesn't look likely.
Leave with a pulse.
Leave half HP, has the pulse bomb. He has to just try and touch and commit onto the point to try and at least contest this one. The EMP comes in. It's going to be trying to sync up with Gaga, but Gaga unable to build up the Primal Rage. And that's an easy capture for the Gladiators. What a way to answer back from that initial map 1. You can tell they're going to be pleased with that.
Yeah, look at Space, just kind of antsy, moving in his seat, very energetic. They needed that win, I think, for Gladiators to get their mentality back in, and frankly, it was given to them very easily. That was some flowchart level Overwatch that Gladiators just pulled off. There was no real threats, they knew what they had to do, and they executed on it very simply. Chengdu lost that on their attack side by trying the comp selection. I really do believe that. But Chengdu must have taken that away from their VOD review the last time they played and thought it was their best opportunity. Maybe they've got some other weird compositional selections later down the road as well. When you have two teams that had a 5-map series against each other, some of their adjustments are going to be good, some of their adjustments might be bad.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting as well. And now you've got to think about it. The loser picking the maps in these scenarios as well. When we get off into these playoff scenarios, it means Chengdu get to pick essentially what map they want to be heading towards next as well. So maybe seeing a completely different turnaround as well. On the other side of this break, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. Of course, the series is going to be continuing and it is heating up. 1-1 apiece at the moment.
Taking it.
안에서
선발 CP.
앞에는 프레사.
됐어. 너리.
Esports. 나이스.
한번 실 먹기.
몽키.
났어.
나이스.
뭐 브리.
나이스.
그렇지.
이제.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by the University of Hawaii at Manoa. Go to takemetomanoa.org today.
This season, we want to celebrate you, the best of us, by hearing directly from you on what you love about the Overwatch League. Share your highlights and your favorite moments of the season for a chance to win a trip to the 2021 Grand Finals in Los Angeles on September 25th. To find out more and enter the I Love Overwatch League contest, visit blizzard.wishpond.com/Grand Finals. And yeah, you can submit it there, potentially go to Los Angeles. I mean, I think I said this yesterday, Josh, but I went to Los Angeles recently, and you know, there's a lot of good things. There's a lot. I'm not going to say there's a lot of bad things. There's some bad things. There's bad things about everywhere. But you know, I enjoyed my trip. That's the key takeaway. I enjoyed my trip, and I'm sure these players will be looking to enjoy a potential trip as well, as they're all aiming to get to the finals. There you go. What a transition.
Phenomenal. You saved it. We're back on track. All right, take a look at this, though. Chengdu are taking Yveltal out, and they're subbing Nisha in. Now, please, answers on a postcard somewhere, at me on Twitter, whatever. I have still not been able to figure out what the logic is behind Nisha and Yveltal swapping and changing around. The best that I've been able to come up with, Bren, is I think it's maps where they are trying to play only Mercy, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And even in that case, Yveltal's a very capable Mercy, so
yeah, Mercy's great.
But so is Nisha's, right? So it's
sure.
It is a weird one. Even throughout the entire season when it comes to Chengdu, I have been personally confused by their substitutions, but it's never really hurt them. It's just been an interesting quirk. They've picked Numbani, though. That's the interesting part. That's the quirk.
Yes, they haven't played much of it in the Countdown Cup, and it could be, in theory, part of the key as to why they've chosen it. The Gladiators are probably doing a ton of prep on their opponents, on Chengdu, and they're thinking, okay, well, if they go to hybrid, what are they going to be trying to pick? What are they going to be trying to play? How do we counteract that? It does kind of force, if they've only played it once before, Josh, correct me if I'm wrong there, it does kind of force the Gladiators to adapt on the fly to whatever they're going to be looking from the Chengdu Hunters, because presumably as well, it's going to be something new that they've cooked up specifically for this match.
I'm interested to see whether it is, actually. I mean, if this was King's Row, Chengdu have been liking to play on King's Row. They had a very good win record on it in the Countdown Cup, and I think throughout the season as well, generally. So maybe the Gladiators were expecting the first 3 maps to just be repeats of the last time they played them. So this definitely is a curveball, a totally different direction. Chengdu have only played it once in the Countdown Cup, and it was against the Valiant. So they just steamrolled their opponents anyway. What they played was, they played... on defense, they played this comp, the Ball, the Sombra, the Pharah. On attack, they actually played Pharah Genji with a Winston. So might get to see a bit of chopping and changing, but the major thing they wanted to lean into here, I think, was the Jinmu Pharah. It has been very good for them, and perhaps they're just asking the question of the Gladiators, what do you have to stop us playing Pharah on these maps?
Here.
Yeah, leave on the Sombra. I mean, credit to a lot of his understanding of what hack targets to go for, but the EMPs last time, I think, are burned into a lot of people's memories. He has spotted as well, though, that Birdring is going to be going back to spawn, and they're making adjustments, presumably, is what they're going to derive from this.
They're taking a long time to make adjustments here.
And this is what I was talking about. When the Gladiators have come into this, they're not probably anticipating the Barney, and it does force them to make adaptations. So that's going to be almost a minute burnt off the clock here.
Yeah. Oh, hello? How does Gaga die in the middle of that? Just Birdring finding him towards the back. What a huge pick. That opens the door completely.
Yeah, I mean, they've got really nothing to disrupt this now. The Gladiators are just going to walk in for free. Nothing to stop them. They've got control of the point, already 2 ticks. The high ground also going to be played now by Muse. Is anyone going to be able to touch this? Yes, Gaga just about gets onto it, and now the tank line looking to put a bit of pressure onto the point. Kevster eating a lot of it as well. Birdring now position to at least get this pick onto Leighton and potentially set up his team with a nice little neutral hack. Obviously use it onto Gaga. As good a target as any. Might be able to get these pickoffs as well. This backline, you can see how much threat they're under right now. So much damage being put into them. And with the nano boost now onto Muse, this is essentially closed out here for the Gladiators. A really good read on how they were supposed to take this.
It all came down to that opening pick, though, because Chengdu are then having to play retake back in, and Leave pops his EMP at the very end there, just forces one out of Birdring, so they've ended up just exchanging ultimates, and Leave moves over. Well, here, this is pretty interesting, actually. Leave previously was playing Sombra, was playing some Genji as well, but now he's going on to a character that can try and control Kevster and Birdring a little bit and apply more pressure to Muse from long range. At this point, though, the Gladiators' ult cycle is starting to come online, and this could be a snowball that the Hunters will find very difficult to stop.
Yeah, good luck. Post-bomb against the wall there from Kevster, not going to be connecting, but Muse gets slept up. It's in the middle of his primal rage. In fact, they've offloaded the barrage. Muse, though, was ready for it. Just about got out of there to the mega health
pack. Look at him ducking his head, trying to get away from it. Can't get away from the headshot, though, from Leave.
Yeah, Leave just hunted him down in the end. That's a good pick for them. It means that now the Gladiators are forced to just kind of regroup, trying to play together, not lose any more players, but it's a hard task. With the Bionode sent in, they're all just low enough for them to get staggered out of this team fight. And crucially here for the Chengdu Hunters, they're able to just at least stop the Gladiators from going on an absolute tear through the streets of Numbani.
And major credit has got to be given there to Monk for finding that sleep. If he doesn't and he gets killed by the Primal, or even, you know, gets juggled into a poor position, other people could die. The team fight might end up being over. Chengdu have to back up a bit here, though, because Nisha was coming off respawn. Now reconnects with Jinmu, can apply that damage boost, and Chengdu can play at full capacity again.
What a sleep dart! Leave on the deck, but look at that Bionade, there's no one the follow-up. Leave somehow turns it around. A quick little headshot takes Kevster straight out of the map.
Flashbang there as well. I think he found the hammer, but he must have found a headshot at the very end of it as well. That's what came up in the kill feed. Gaga hacked again, hack Bionade, Wrecking Ball goes down, and suddenly advantage to the Gladiators. EMP and double support ultimates here available.
The rally used pretty early on here. Jinmu is going to be using that barrage, and an Anubis slapped onto him. Bionaded up, just needs to try and get out of there, but look at that damage. I mean, Space knew immediately what to do there. Just jumped straight on top of him with the defense matrix. All that damage, the rocket's just getting ate up in the middle of it. Still the Chengdu Hunters looking to come back into this one, and it's going to cause Birdring to at least use the EMP to close this one out. And it should be easy for them here and out. Going to be able to cap up checkpoint B, now moving forwards into checkpoint C with about 4 minutes on the clock is what they're going to be having to work with. Definitely a lot. Nisha making the move over to the Brigitte here.
I mean, almost a full compositional swap. Monk moving over to Zen, Leave on Hangzhou, Jinmu picking up the Sombra. The Hunters have reset their ult economy. Not that they had much to be able to work with anyway, but this cycle is going to continue for the Gladiators. Muse can try and initiate here with his Primal, as Kevster and Birdring look to pick people off in the back. Monk and Nisha, they're going to be under such pressure.
Yeah, and look at this, it's already happening. Kevster is in the perfect position for it. Not ideal,
they look
actually.
Like mountain goats. They're scaling the cliffs.
You pushed them right up against the wall. They weren't going to be falling down into the pulse bomb. Bit of miscommunication there, perhaps. Miscoordination. But at the end of the day, they've still got 2 pickoffs now onto the Chengdu Hunters. Because Chengdu, again, when they made those wholesale switches in terms of their composition, no ultimates to work with. The Gladiators, they have a Nano boost now.
Nano and a rally to keep them just sustained throughout the entirety of this fight. Here's where it could just get closed out. Skew dropping weak, half health though, needs some healing.
There it is.
There goes the Nano.
Yeah, jumping in. Doesn't have his lead for another second. Shubash is used, and Leave's going to try his best to turn it around, but look at that whip shot round the side. Muse, oh my goodness, he's in a precarious position right now to try to get heals, but nobody touches. Too distracted by the giant glowing monkey, as Muse was just really I guess, keeping him locked up. The attention just completely dominated onto him, and of course they couldn't touch anyway when Space just dropped the self-destruct onto the card, onto the objective. But what a pace for the Gladiators to set here onto Numbani. 2 minutes, 28 seconds is kind of ridiculous, Josh.
It's almost unheard of. When it comes to Numbani times, normally you're just being able to get it into checkpoint C as it gets into overtime. And that's if you even manage it. But the Gladiators instantly got a pick on point A, then they're able to start their ult cycle going. They find kills in multiple different areas, and then are able to cycle the ultimates to create an enormous amount of pressure on the Chengdu backline. Everything that Chengdu came out with here, it took the Gladiators a minute to formulate a game plan at the beginning of the round, but after that, it was a speed run.
A little bit of trolling now, I think, from Kevster. Sorry, I was just incredibly... I don't really know what just happened there. Kevster put the teleporter over the edge, and Shu just took it and ran off. thinking it was going straight to the other side, and it's just going straight off the map. Just a little bit of trolling. And in the grand finals of the Countdown Cup. I mean, I think that's so telling though as well for the Gladiators. I think just their mental coming into this as well. Despite losing that early map, Gladiators a month ago would not be in the same position that they are now, looking so confident playing this game currently. I think that they have made drastic improvements over the course of the season, and at the right time for it as well, when we're nearing the playoffs, the overall play-ins as well. This is important for the Gladiators. You can see, look at this now, an aggressive hold, trying to play aggressive right into them, but Jinmu was ready for it. The damage boosted rockets just essentially two-shot Shu.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the setup was there. Normally you're trying to set up beginning with a manual hack coming out from Birdring or a Bionade. You know, you've got Shu playing in a sneaky avenue. Didn't really seem like that. The Gladiators just decided to play offense. Maybe they realized that Leave and Jinmu were coming out on the Genji and the Fire a bit too late and they hadn't quite got into good positions. But that's the Gladiators essentially giving up checkpoint A. Monk hacked though, under pressure, needs heals, does find a health kit.
Gladiators have actually managed to get back in here, which couldn't be said when the Chengdu Hunters were on the defense last time as well, and Gladiators got the first pick off, but now they're going to be jumping right into the streets. You can see Jinmu just rocket after rocket, just hoping to at least put in a bit of damage that can be followed up upon. He's going to do it himself. Shu eventually taken out, and now he's going for skewed. The backline of the Gladiators is gone.
And the backline of Chengdu is as well. I mean, Monk and Nisha both died in the midst of that because Kevster and Birdring are putting on their own clinic. Oh, bye-bye! Late Young falls down to the Serenity as well. Going to say hello to Shu's first life, I suppose. And that's a really solid hold from Gladiators in terms of how their front line counter-dived and turned that around. We didn't catch it on our screen, but Kevster, Birdring and Muse were doing an excellent job as their backline died, just trading out. Leave getting close to this blade, though, and that's going to be the difference maker, perhaps.
Yeah, but Jinmu with the barrage could be enough to disrupt it as well. Post bomb, Kevster not getting the pick. A lot of damage, Jinmu. I cannot believe you're just using a barrage in that scenario.
Well, they had slept Birdring. They slept Birdring, and Kevster came to peel for it. So that barrage was intended for the Sombra as well. And now Leave just gets this free blade.
Yeah, the blade comes through. That's a nice little hack, though. Leave actually can't move anywhere. Muse is going to try and turn this around for them, but Chengdu have got a lot of picks. Still, now it's Gaga's turn to just offload the ultimate. An angry monkey just kind of battering them around, and eventually they are going to get it now. 4 minutes for the Chengdu Hunters as they capture up checkpoint A. Getting a couple of stagger kills as well, which is never going to hurt. They're going to stay on this comp though.
Oh, some swaps. Nisha over to Brig, Jinmu pulling out the Sombra. And so this is, again, this kind of mirrors, okay, Leave moving to Tracer. This is somewhat different then to their prior game against the Valiant. But Leave was playing Genji for the majority of it. Perhaps just having used his blade, he feels like he's going to be better off on Tracer. I would agree, keep Kevster in check. Play a bit more pressure towards Shu in the back.
Kevster's definitely a player you need to be always keeping an eye on, but Shu is going to be removed. Self-destruct in close quarters. It's a dangerous situation to be in. There's a recall kill. It's rare to see that these days, especially with these compositions that are just spread out so thin across the map. Yet, well, they're going to get anyway. That isn't I mean, a team might win there for the Chengdu Hunters, only investing, what, the nano boost into this one, the self-destruct as well?
Yeah, and Late Young is now going to make the swap over to play Zarya too. Both of the DPS have taken high ground control, which is normally the issue with going over to a Zarya as you approach checkpoint B. Obviously, you're not going to have any charge for this team fight, but maybe just anticipating they're going to need a bit of peel in this next one.
Yeah, or possibly actually just bubble onto Gaga so we can try and build up the ultimate. They don't have a nano to keep him alive. The bubble will do a pretty good job of it. It's a good read, though, from the Gladiators. You can see immediately they've just jumped straight onto the backline of the Chengdu Hunters, and they forced out the rally. Nisha's going to be trying to keep the team up with it. Bit of armor just being dished out to everyone who can potentially get close enough. What a sleep, though, onto Birdring, and that's just going to be straight into the kill. A wonderful setup play from Monk. Leave comes in. The pulse bomb is a connection. Can they get the kill, though? Muse hacked up, but the nano boost just keeping him alive. So durable, all during it, and setting up these kills for the rest of his team. Magical work there from the Gladiators.
I mean, both Ana players doing such good work for their squads. Monk finds another sleep dart onto Birdring. He's been great at that so far in this map. And then all of the pressure that Muse was under, everybody on Chengdu screaming to kill the main tank. And Shu just keeps him alive. Nano boost, Bionade, heals. Muse was essentially immortal throughout that team fight. And now they're going to be able to have a rally and an EMP that should again halt this momentum from Chengdu.
lot of ults for them.
I could use some healing.
Kebster, okay. Taking a bit of damage. He's hunting for somebody with this pulse bomb, maybe trying to sync something up, and yet they are. The hack comes out. That's a bubble, actually, from Leiyang, and it clears away the hack, but not enough. The backline is just really under so much threat there. Chengdu Hunters are using the ultimates. Gaga doesn't have the Primal Rage any longer, but was just using it to basically try and at least get maybe a capture. Only 1.42 meters between that and checkpoint B, but it's another team play win here for the Gladiators. And the ultimates online for them means it's looking like, honestly, if they cycle this correctly and just play the flowchart of it, Josh, might just be holding them in the streets.
They should do. This should be Gladiators map right now, and they go up 2-1. Chengdu used their nano, they used the primal, and the offense did not manage to get anything done. Nothing like the incredible pincer we saw from Kevster, Birdring, and Muse. And this is just so hard right now. Unless they can grab Pulse, almost their entire team before the EMP comes out, but Birdring's getting ready to set up something aggressive already.
Hack, okay, that's going to be the pulse bomb. Almost delivered right into them, actually. Space, it's going to be demec'd. Has to use the South Truck to get back in, but with Leiyang falling and Gaga, no more tanks online here for the Chengdu Hunters. Can we take this fight? 25 seconds left. Ultimate still online, and a staggered kill onto Nisha. They're going for Monk as well. They want Monk. Kev's has gone for it. That's a sleep, though. Monk.
He hung around for too long.
Yeah,
oh, he thought it was only Kevster chasing him, and Muse comes there. Slam dunk in the alley-oop, and now what can the Hunters do? They pop their rally, they jump Gaga in, but is there anything else?
Jinman gets the overtime going. That's an EMP onto the back line. Gaga leaping in as well. Might be able to get a pick, but it looks unlikely. Muse falls, though. It was used pretty early on. Gaga taking so much damage, has to back off around this corner, and Monk's so close to the Anubis. This could be turnable, but the Chengdu Hunters have to play it excellently. Leiyang's going to be the recipient now of this Nanoboost, just trying to lead it in. What a pulse bomb from Leave. Could be a clutch play coming out for them, and Kevster not able to get the bomb off. The Chengdu Hunters just somehow getting it done there. Jinmu distracting them for but a moment for them to leap in and steal it away.
Yeah, amazing punish actually from the Hunters. Really nicely done. Gaga playing on a hair's breadth away from death, but jumping out to a situation where Kevster couldn't really chase because he was on the other side of the map. And the Hunters have another lifeline on Numbani. Again though, Birdring's so close to this EMP. It's always an uphill battle for Chengdu.
Yeah, Gaga's going to have to do something magical here. The pressure onto the back line, but it matters not when Kevster gets a two-piece with a pulse bomb. It's done and dusted. The ultimates expended are pretty much just wasted at this point as well, considering the spawn advantage for the Gladiators and get back into the fight much more quickly. And Kev's is just making sure that they actually just can't contest even if they wanted to.
And at this point, what's going through the Hunter's head is we've got to finish this in less than 30 seconds. They need some time on the clock in order for this not to just be a draw. And their curveball pick of Numbani to be a wasted opportunity to go up 2-1 in the series. I mean, that would be best case scenario as well. Look at Birdring just hunting them. It's like a shark. Tracer battle off on the side. Kevster getting the worst end of it.
Oh my god, yes, Leave was being supported by the team, but I mean the tracking, it's like almost every single bullet that he fires out lands onto the head of the opposition, and Kevster taken out. Pulse bomb off to the side, that's not going to be a connection, but Muse slept up, woken up though. It's an Anubis on him along with the Primal Rage. The Chengdu Hunters have got to come out with something, and something has to be big. Gaga sleeping on the job though, not ideal for them, and now comboing up with the Primal Rage and the Pulse Bomb. It's all going the way of the Gladiators. The map pick for the Chengdu Hunters, Numbani, has not worked out in the slightest. And in long series like this, Josh, when it's first to four, these early maps can be a huge difference maker in terms of the momentum of the series. The Gladiators just one more step closer to potentially the finish line.
And it's a very different look on both of these teams' faces. Jinmu takes a sip, calm, stoic as ever. But as we came out of this map, Leiyang had his head in his hands. Gaga looked puzzled, confused as to what they could have done better over the course of that map. And overall, it's Gladiators taking that inching step forwards. It's still a long, long way to go. First to four series, we could have draws, all sorts of things, comebacks, who knows. But the Gladiators have started out on the right foot here. The strange picks from Chengdu, the ball on Anubis, the map pick of Numbani, these have not worked.
They really haven't, yes. And the Gladiators now are going to be pretty happy, honestly, moving into this next map because it seems like a lot of their prep work has been paying off tremendously. We're going to go to a short break. We're going to see, will it be the Gladiators getting one more map closer to victory, or the Chengdu Hunters potentially coming back into this series? We'll find out just after this.
Nice. Easy. Push.
Welcome to our game break. Zoe here, joined by the squad. We are 3 maps into the Countdown Cup finals, and these two teams are throwing haymakers alike, a couple of heavyweight prize fighters. So let's talk about what we already got to see starting on map number 1, which was Oasis. And quite frankly, we kicked things off with a very dominant showing from the Chengdu Hunters. They brought exactly the right amount of aggression, they look coordinated, everything just lined up for them on Oasis.
Absolutely, and I mean this is Chengdu Hunters in their comfort zone as well. They come out the gates, and even though they play on a Orisa composition to start things off, you get Jinmu on that Pharah for starters, and they're able to set the pace for the rest of Oasis, in my opinion. We saw them flex over to the Wrecking Ball and the Genji, of course, later on in this initial round, but really, it feels like they're forcing the Gladiators to adapt in so many scenarios that I feel like the Chengdu Hunters, they're often the most dominant force. On this round specifically, we saw Leave just like coming to his own on that Tracer, taking down Kevster in many ways and winning that head-to-head duel. This stick right here, the follow-up after straight onto Shu. I mean, spectacular performance by Leave to really kick off this match, and that really set the pace, I think, for the rest of the series, even though the Gladiators, with their Temple of Anubis pick, and me and Costa, we've been talking a lot about the Gladiators on Temple of Anubis. Immediately just turned the series around on Temple of Anubis with an incredible point they shot down.
Yeah, Assault was the second map. Gladiators chose that very map, Temple of Anubis, and they bounced back in a big way, denying Chengdu point A with a very impressive hold. What were your thoughts on this one?
I mean, this was all Gladiators. I think Gladiators, they had an amazing performance, great dives, great follow-ups with the Winston Sombra Tracer composition. Chengdu Hunters, on the other hand, they were running the Wrecking Ball Sombra Tracer, and it didn't really work. It seemed like they were having trouble to control the tempo at all on this map, on Anubis, causing, I think, Monk died a lot throughout the map, so they were having some difficulties. Again, Gladiators, spectacular performance from all the players, and I think just the Winston from Muse was also very amazing as well.
Anything?
Yeah.
Anyone? Nothing?
Oh, well, yeah, no, like, I completely agree. If we're going into Numbani, I do want to highlight Muse just here on this Winston, because he has been so good on this Winston. I think he's really been that difference maker of the style from the Gladiators. Just look at it right here. 2.5 deaths per 10 minutes, but he is putting out so many eliminations and so many final blows. And the tempo at which he's playing and the way that Shu is able to heal him, keep him alive, but also the value he's getting from the nano boost seems to be catching the Chengdu Hunters off guard a little bit. And I was surprised that they decided to go to Numbani, because it is a map historically that after the first point, Barret is quite hard to utilize, and that's what we saw. On this map, the Gladiators just always doing the tempo with the Tracer, the Sombra, and those nanos. And the Chengdu Hunters got so bad that they ended up deciding that they have to go to this mirror of the Sombra. And I'm gonna be honest, the Chengdu Hunters, as much as it worked for them in the Countdown Cup qualifiers, so far in these playoffs, their Sombra play has not looked up to par. They're struggling to get any effectiveness from EMPs. They're not getting them at the right times, and they just aren't able to utilize them effectively. So the Gladiators have full control of this match. And I think if you are the Chengdu Hunters looking forward into this match, they need to find a way to choose maps and also get Muse off of this comfort of the Winston and stray away from that Sombra themselves. And I think that is their path forward. Really just play Jinmu Pharah, I think, at this point.
Actually, yeah. I do agree with that, but I do disagree with you actually with the map picks and Gladiators being in control of the series. Yes, Gladiators, they're up to 2-1 here, but I feel like these were the two toughest maps for the Chengdu Hunters in this series, because Temple of Anubis, it was the map that Gladiators won last time around. If you look at the stats, Assault is Chengdu's worst game mode as well, so the Chengdu Hunters, I didn't even have them winning that in the first place. Now, Hybrid is a very interesting game mode actually, because the Chengdu Hunters, they've been taken to Blizzard World twice and they got full held on point B at that as well, so it's not really a map they favor. They lost King's Row to the Gladiators last time around as well, so they're not really confident in the Orisa mirror, it seems like, because the Gladiators showed what they could do with the BAP Sen composition against the Atlanta Reign. So I do want to agree with what you ended on though. Jinmu on that Pharah, I think could be the answer. Now we're going to have Leave play the Tracer or the Sombra. I think that's the big question for the Chengdu Hunters, because we mentioned it repeatedly and you just said it as well, Costa. Chengdu haven't had the best Sombra play so far, especially when it comes to those EMPs. So do you want to play Leave on the Tracer or on the Sombra? But I do agree, Jinmu on the Pharah seems like the best choice for Chengdu moving forward.
I can see why they would be a little bit hesitant as well, though, to just hard rely on that Pharah, because quite frankly, it was the Gladiators who were able to effectively shut that Jinmu Pharah down in their first bout earlier on in the Countdown Cup tournament. So yeah, maybe they thought like they can circumvent it and not be quite as readable, but alas, we're gonna find out when we're heading into the following maps. Now first, I want to remind everyone that this match is stacked with talent, including a couple of MVP finalists as well. And it's almost time to crown our 2021 season MVP. And you, our fans, get to help decide who takes the title home this year. So head on over to overwatchleague.com/MVP to see the candidates and learn how you can cast your vote. It's very simple, it's very easy, and your voice matters, so make sure to make use of it. Quite frankly, I feel like for me personally, in order to cast my vote, a lot actually is on the line in this match. Like I'm watching, like I'm not go leave, you know, make a case for yourself. If you really outperform right here, then I'm gonna vote for you. So I don't know if that's just me with my glorious recency bias, but it is what it is.
Well, no, I agree. I think, me personally, I didn't cast my vote. I haven't done anything. I wanted to see how Leave, how Shu, how they were going to perform in this playoffs right now. And because I have heavy weight when I make these votes of how do you perform when it matters most. And I think Leave has had a good performance, not a great performance. He hasn't had that MVP performance for me so far in this match. And that's what I want to see from him. If he's going to get my vote, I want to see him sort of elevate above everyone else in this match. And that's hard to do because of how many great players are in this match. I want to see him elevate above that and prove why he is the MVP of the league.
Absolutely. Well, you can make a case for literally everyone anyway, because our MVP candidates, I mean, it's a stacked list, all right. Now, heading into the second half of this very match, map 4 is going to be Escort, and we're heading over to Route 66. How do we feel about this map choice? Once again, it's the Hunters' choice, their pick of the map. Do we like it or not? What kind of expectations are we having?
I think it's a granted at this point, picking Route 66. This was the map that the Chengdu Hunters actually fully held the Gladiators on in their last series. That is when Jinmu was able to play the Pharah on their point A defense. And Leave was playing the Sombra, even though there was a Memp in those 4 minutes of defense. You know, it'll be very interesting to see, is Leave going to play the Sombra on this point A defense again? It feels like this should be Chengdu Hunters' map to really turn this series around. And I mean, then you get Control, Hybrid, Escort again. There's no more Assault. That's good for the Chengdu Hunters. So if they can claw themselves back into this series by winning Route, in which they fully held Gladiators last time around, could be good signs for the Hunters for the rest of the series.
Well, there's at least one person on this desk who just wants the Hunters to go down, and that's, of course, Danny, the only one who actually was picking the Gladiators. You must be feeling very confident about your predictions right now.
I am very confident. And, you know, like Johnny said, this map was the map that Chengdu Hunters full held the Gladiators last time, but I'm confident that Gladiators has an answer this time around.
You gotta believe.
We are playing first to 4 though, so it's not the last chance, but this is where the Hunters want to start their comeback. Let's see if they can get it done as we're heading into this next match. And once again, of course, all the action will be brought to you by Sideshow and Bren.
It would be kind of weird though if we swapped caster duos just at the half, wouldn't it?
Actually, it's true. Yeah.
It would be strange.
It's almost like you're doing the warm-up routine, you know, for the next song. You're like,
like a
we'll take the
comedy
first
show?
3. Yeah, exactly. It'd feel like a comedy show. You know, they bring in Matt and Mitch, the finishers, to close out the series.
Aeroplane food. Whoa, what about it? Gonna get kicked off, dragged off. You see Mitch come on instead. Yeah, let's take a look at the. Go on,
yeah,
Josh,
sorry, go on, Brad. No.
I was just going to literally lead into the. I was leading into the subs that we're seeing here because we're seeing that the Chengdu Hunters are actually going to be going with some pretty big switches. Honestly, Eamon's coming in for Gaga. On top of that, as well, the support line has been chopped and changed entirely as well. What is the immediate read from this? Do we see this as the Chengdu Hunters are cooking up something special, or the Chengdu Hunters are scrapping for answers?
I am very confused. That's my answer, at least, because I think we've seen them do this historically. 1987 is coming in for Monk as well.
Yeah.
Like, this just seems like what they're trying to do right now isn't working. They have so many great players on the bench. I don't think any of the players being subbed out and going in are downgrades. I think it's just a different look, and I think right now they're struggling to come up with those answers, as you said, Brent.
I think that this is pre-planned, actually. I think they would have always intended in this match for this to happen. The reason I say that is because the Chengdu Hunters had such a dominant result on this map previously. This is the one you would expect the Gladiators to have done all of this like prep work for how they how Gaga plays, how Monk paths around, and so they're just adding in a totally different squad that plays in a much more aggressive manner. They've done this throughout the season so far as well, and it's worked for them. They've got like a significantly better win rate with these guys in, so maybe that wouldn't work if they did play this squad all the time, but I think the moments they sub in Faraway and Eamon have actually looked pretty good this season. I'm excited.
Yeah, this is going to be very, very interesting as well, and I cannot wait to get this game back underway. So I'm going to say goodbye, Desk. Goodbye, bye. See you, everybody. Yeah, let's get the rest of this match underway. Eh? I'm excited for this because if it is the Chengdu Hunters actually cooking up something special, because they knew, like you said, Josh, you know, this is the match that the Gladiators are going to be putting, or this map in particular with Route 66, where the Gladiators are going to be putting a lot of focus on trying to basically shore up a lot of what they did wrong and fix a lot of their mistakes. Chengdu Hunters coming in with some curveballs could be exactly what they need to try and even up this series as we head straight into it, because they would like nothing more than to do just that.
Yeah, and I will say though, Bren, thus far, every curveball that the Chengdu Hunters have thrown has gone awry. It's gone askew. It's found its way just completely in the wrong direction. I'm going to keep returning to it. The ball comp on Anubis, the pick of Numbani. Now, are we going to see the same theme with these players being subbed in for Route 66? Chengdu, this is the map where Chengdu are the most favored over the Gladiators. It perfectly fits Chengdu's composition and the way they like to play, and they got a full hold on Gladiators last time. So, if they end up losing this and they go down 3-1, I feel like the series is over. There is a lot of pressure on these players that don't come in that often for the Hunters to get them back level in the series here.
Yeah, so much on their shoulders in terms of how they're going to be performing heading into Route 66. And the Gladiators, for them, this is another opportunity, I suppose, to just dissuade the narratives that have just been attached to them for the longest time about a team unable to close out a lot of the kind of big results, the real matches that matter, where they've struggled to adapt and struggled to really just close out some of these series. Winning in the Kandan Cup, obviously this map isn't going to be deciding that, as it is first of 4, but just getting that one step closer is one more step, I suppose, to really setting them on the path to having a real good amount of momentum heading into the overall playoffs for the season as well in 2021, which is a big deal for this team, I think.
I would say both of these teams have that same criticism from their fans in terms of not being able to really close out those big games. Chengdu have made it to 3 stage finals. They've made it to a final before, but they looked outclassed when they actually got to that position. The Gladiators in the same boat. Their fans have always been clamoring for them to actually win big matches, win in the playoffs. So this would be a huge turnaround for them too. Just a quick note in terms of these players that have been subbed in though. The Chengdu Hunters over the whole season sit at about a 50% teamfight win rate. When Faraway is subbed in, and he only has been for 9 maps this season, he's sat at a 56% win rate. So that's a really significant improvement when they bring him in. He's like a niche pick alongside Eamon most of the time that significantly boosts the Hunters, and they normally get large value out of these subs.
See what they can do. The Gladiators are just trying to set themselves up for a dive. They're going to try and push the cart as much as they possibly can for free. See, Kepster is causing a bit of havoc there. Eamon's going to be going to lead in with the power drive right onto the cart. Doesn't set up too much. In fact, Eamon's hacked up as well as Kepster tries to put a bit of pressure onto Faraway. Dodging and juking around the sign of Big Earls as well. Might try and sync something up with the rest of the team, but for now, that's Evil completely split up from the rest of the team. Space gets that pick, and he's looking for more as well. Jinmu's not going to have the healing necessary to survive that one. Tracked out of the sky. Some stagger kills onto Leave means that the Gladiators are probably just going to sail this right into checkpoint A.
Yeah, it's looking very difficult for a recontest, especially considering Eamon was your final player to go down, and Leave died so late on as well. Doesn't look possible. Faraway having to back off, and then that's really just one team fight taken. Normally, this version of the Hunters plays more aggressively than their normal squad, but when you're playing a Sombra and a Farah, that is quite a slow-paced composition. So, not exactly what we've seen from them earlier on in the season.
Guess they're going for something fancy there. Flipping on that pulse bomb, but didn't quite get the connection that he was looking for. Hunters now need to do something massive. Good hack, in fact. Yeah, Jinmu's Rock is definitely finding their marks, but not able to get the kill. Now we see the ultimate's committed. That space going to be taking up that Nano Boost. Not sure if that was intended.
Nano
Maybe for Muse there. And yeah, a Nano Boost on to leave. I mean, optimistic is really the word I would use. And it might as well, I mean, it is leave at the end of the day, but there's only so much he can really do. This card still moving. Space needs to get back into the mech. There's going to be a sleep onto Muse, almost building up that Primal. Potentially going to be a pick-off. Yeah, they have the burst damage for it into the Bionade. Muse just blown up. So this could be the beginning there for the Chengdu finally getting this defense guy.
Yeah, very good sleep dart. Eamon rolls forward, trying to set up Jinmu as Late Young is just battling against Space on the side. They're trying to get the D-Mech on this Gladiator's off-tank, but he escapes into the welcoming arms of his supports, where Shu can continue building up this Nano Charge.
Yeah, the ult charge now is going to be really just shifting into the way of the Gladiators here.
He got 20%
neck and neck.
Shu. It's a battle of the EMPs here, though, I think.
Yeah. Well, here it comes. EMP onto Birdering, and it does connect onto the one target he wants.
Oh, no.
That's going to be right off the edge. Evil cannot fly, obviously, when they're hacked up like that, and that Space's boosters doing the good work there, just pushing them right off the map. The mines come down, and that's Eamon scattering them just to try and prevent them from really following up on the damage in the EMP. They've already got that pick off. In fact, Birdering might just be hunting for more. Another neutral hack onto Jinmu. He knows that Eamon is about as well. He's going to be calming this, but Jinmu falls.
So well played. Kevster is just in the back, harassing players that are getting hacked, and now he's managed to sandwich the support line as well. Farway desperately tries to throw at the Nano. I don't think that landed onto anybody. Oh, it's on Yveltal actually, but he was bionaded.
A lot of ultimates committed here from the Chengdu Hunters to try and turn this one. That's going to be the hack though onto leave. Beautiful play from Birdering, setting up his team there with the EMP to try and win out this team fight. Chengdu, they do have a lot of picks though, and they have to close the spawn point, so they're going to be able to get back into the fight with 6 a little bit faster than the Gladiators will be able to. Not that they're willing to give it up just yet though. You can still see the pressure they're putting in, and Jinmu is in trouble. A lot of damage being outputted onto him.
I mean, imagine trying to play the Pharaoh without a Mercy Pocket. This is truly only Jinmu things. I don't know how he thinks he's going to be able to get away with this. Oh, that's slept as he went for the barrage. Hacked.
Trying to pincer something up here. Hacked, yeah. Jinmu just cancelled out of this one. Space takes him out with a body blaster, for goodness sake. And Kevster still alive and ripping through them, but so is Leave on the opposing team. Leave honestly did kind of salvage that one as well. I mean, we didn't exactly see how, but he was at least a finishing factor for 3 of the kills for the Chengdu Hunters in that team fight when it was looking so scrappy.
And this is the comp I thought that Chengdu would start on with this roster. This is what you would expect to see from them. This is what they've played most of the time when they've been subbed in. These Ball Tracers End kind of comps. This is where Farway looks his best. This is where Leave arguably looks his best too. But they have to navigate a really tricky situation. Jinmu dies and Birdering has the EMP.
Just going to have to use those mines there. That's a rally going to be used. Skewed is taken out. It's just from the grapple straight up, and Lee's able to follow up on presumably a lot of that damage being done as well. Another hold here for the Chengdu Hunters. They are they're in a pretty good position, honestly, Josh, all things considered. The Gladiators obviously are building up these ultimates for the EMP and the Primal, but they have to get into position to use them first.
And Birdering has really struggled to find that big EMP that he's looking for. Every time he goes for one, Eamon's aggression comboed with Leave is just tearing through their backline. They can't manage to escort Shu and Skewed into safe positions. And here they go again, just corralled into a corner. Pile drive, pulse bomb. Doesn't manage to get the kills this time, but it's a continual harassment.
Kev's just about getting out of there. Has to get some heals now, but we're down to a final minute. This EMP from Birdering still holding on to it, looking for a target. Playing within the caves. That's a Transcendence actually forced out there from the Primal Rage. Leiling has to use the Self-Destruct to keep this one going. No more Transcendence means it could be a free EMP for them, but that's far away. There you go. Little kill into Kevster to try and at least close things out for them. It's very scrappy right now for the Gladiators. Nanabu slapped onto Muse. They want to try and at least use this to close out the team fight, but it's all over the bloody shop.
Yeah, the Chengdu have just spread out, split apart, waiting to collapse later onto the Gladiators, but they don't have the personnel to be able to touch the objective. Gladiators just got way too much value out of bullying that small area of the map. And, I mean, I was just watching on the minimap, Muse with a Nano chasing Farway, like, just in a carousel ride, round and round a building, getting very little value out of the Nano. But still, they zone away the rest of the Hunters, and they're actually able to secure the capture. Minute and a half though, and that B defense looks a lot better with the benefit of hindsight than it started out as. And they can hold this momentum right here with a good piece of aggression.
A little bit brutal. Nice little hack there onto Kevster. Immediately, look at that, just jumping straight onto him. The fact that Kevster's still alive, though, is astounding. How have they managed to do that? They've kept him alive when he's being dove by, I think, both Leave and Late Young. And they've, in fact, managed to actually turn it around and get some picks from it. Hughes dove right into the backline of the Chengdu Hunters, and they just toppled over from it. And now, 50 seconds for the Gladiators, pushing this one deep. Kevster has a pulse bomb. Jinmu, the EMP, has to be big, and it is. It catches onto many targets. There needs to be a follow-up for them. Luckily, Leave is there. Recall's just in time, 7 HP, almost going down. That's going to be the teamfight win. The Gladiators looking to try and get a good disengage and exit here for a final teamfight.
Part of the way that Kevster stayed alive as well is that Birdring used his EMP, so he created a distraction somewhere else on the battlefield. That meant that this fight that we just witnessed, Jinmu had an EMP without anything really being available for LA. Now they're coming back in, double support ultimates on both sides, but I would argue that favors Chengdu. That Transcendence is so much more valuable than the Nano, except for the fact that maybe Muse can use it to manage to get up to his Primal. This kill on Leave would be amazing though.
Yeah, Leave doesn't have recall, and you can see that Kevster's hunting it down. He doesn't have it for himself either. Ultimate's now committed. Post bomb does not connect. Bit of a whiff there from Kevster as he tried to potentially turn the fight around, but Muse, he sets it up. Leaks straight onto Faraway and couldn't withstand a lot of the damage that was coming into his direction. Leave now with the post bomb. No, what a stun around the corner, skewed. A bit of a prediction, maybe just trying to avoid the damage coming his way, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Leave's taken out of the fight. They've relied on him so much to try and clutch these team fights around into the overtime scenario. Birdring now building up this EMP. When a contest comes through, it's going to be colliding, and now it clashes right into them. The Gladiators getting that full completion here on Route 66.
What a performance from LA. In those final hours, when it looks lost, they managed to just generate advantages from essentially nothing. That kill from Skewed as he just bashes around the corner and catches Leave off guard is so crucial. Very pivotal engagement.
I'm assuming it was predicted. Because if he gets a third-person perspective around the corner when he's holding the shield, he just saw him coming and just went for it.
Yeah, I think so. Also, Muse has been doing a great job playing Winston on this map. It's not really a map where you see very many Winston players getting good value. He's playing into a Discord orb, or at least he was from the second half of the map. And people that can punish him, he can get hacked, bullied by the Tracer and the Sombra, stunned by the Brig. You know, there's so many things that would make his life hell when it comes to Route 66 Winston. And yet they're able to generate a really good offense. Yeah, he just sees it coming.
He saws it. Oh, wow. I mean, it's almost game-winning. Because knowing Leave doing Leave things with the pulse bomb in hand, that is, he's probably going to get a pick. It's probably, I'm not going to say it's a guarantee. It's likely that he gets a pick with the pulse bomb. An incredible amount of foresight required for him to be able to just predict where Leave was going and just take him out in that moment.
And think about how different this is to Route 66, the last time they played. Once more, a repeated map, and once more, the map could not be more different. The Gladiators got full held previously, and now, if anything, look at the composition the Gladiators are running. This is more likely to be a full hold their way, the opposite way around. But Chengdu have a good understanding of how to try and break this. Long-range damage coming down from the Hangzhou, the Farah. Eventually, Muse's shielding is going to be able to crack. Their players are going to get pressured. Maybe a concussion blast or a roll through that knocks people off the high ground.
Lovely.
And now Chengdu can take space.
That's good work by Eamon. Disjoints them away from the high ground. This high ground control is very important, but the Gladiators just need to be playing together here. A good understanding of where to rotate to. Look at these angles.
What a nerdy angle.
Yeah, real nerd
I love
angles out here. Right in between, tiniest of gaps, but no casualties just yet. The Chengdu Hunters still looking for that first pick. They have gained high ground control though, which is an important factor for them. And now Leave with the Storm Arrows just shredding through them. Skewed is in trouble, but the heals come his way. But it's a huge Bionade. Birdring and Muse are very, very weak. And with that headshot onto Skewed, it's not looking likely they're able to win this one out. Unless he goes down with Storm Arrows. They are so good right now. That's going to be the Dragon Strike to split them across. It's only connecting onto a few of them still. Jinmu is just putting out that constant pressure with the rockets from the high ground, and no one's been dealing with him. All the pressure has been on to leave. He absorbs it. All the aggression going his way. Still trying to turn this though. Kevster jumping onto Jinmu. Chengdu Hunters though, they have enough players that they're going to be able to sail this one in with no problems.
And Jinmu goes down there because Evil Till went to res Leave, and then as soon as Leave comes back out of his temporary slumber, let's say, just uses his Storm Arrows and destroys Kevster. So, again, leaves Hangzhou just able to create so much pressure on the battlefield. That dual threat of Leave and Jinmu has been something that we haven't seen enough of, I think, over the course of this series compared to their previous one.
Birdring's Hangzhou, in terms of the head-to-head, I suppose, he had an outrageous performance against the Shock to make it here, but this time, yeah, up against Jinmu's Hangzhou. Oh, I should say Farah.
The snipe on the Tracer?
Yeah. Okay, the barrage, why not?
That's so good. I mean, the timing there is just gorgeous in terms of how he uses his altitude, coming over the top with the nano boost, putting that first rocket onto Birdring, dropping down to finish him off as Birdring gets the hop inside the building, and just insta-ults onto Space, who was remeching. Just the decision-making is so fast.
Yeah, it's really intelligent. It's just a complete understanding of how he wants to play the team fight, based on where the enemy is, the positioning of it, the cooldowns that are around him. Now Leave when he's on this high ground position. So difficult for the Gladiators to get back out and start contesting this one. The power drive sets it up. That's Muse taken out.
Great team.
Really, Leave doesn't have too much to worry about here. Still, Jinmu will fall. It's a Dragon Strike built up, and look at that. A lot of the Gladiators, that's asleep, if I've ever seen one. Birdring going to be dropped there, as Leave will immediately capitalize off of it. Still holding on to the Dragon Strike, but now, here we go, right into the cave system. Pushing them all the way. The contesto from the Gladiators is still going to be coming in now as Muse is back into the fight from the high ground. Leaps into the back line here. 3 meters for the Chengdu Hunters. That's all they've got to try and push this one in, but Muse pays for it with his life, just trying to contest it, potentially take out some of the members of the opposition. Eventual, again whipping out the pistol. Just trying to just
always
create a bit of a compilage there of clips of him just taking out the opposing team, but the Gladiators are not giving this one up. They've lost a lot of their players. No one's really dealing with Jinmu, but he ultimates are being committed anyway. There's the barrage, though. That should be enough to clean that up. Surely now for Jinmu with the amount of damage they're putting out. The Primal Rage. Muse wants to try and turn this anyway.
EMP. Birdring getting close to an EMP as well. Coming back up to respawn. There it is.
3. Jinmu's been caught with it, but there we go. Leaf's still in the fight. He's still in the action. The damage boost just on him as well. He's taken out Birdring with no problems. And now a nano boost. They need to be careful of Jinmu here. The rally's going to be engaged. Everything is being invested into this fight from both teams, fighting all the way for it. A good South-Destroy from Space is going to push them all away from it. And the bubble, it only does so much to eat up the damage. Leave still alive, just tearing through the opposition. Eamon and Leave still alive, and Kevster takes him. Oh my goodness, just going to be going down in the midst of all of this chaos. Only 1 meter away now for the Chengdu Hunters to be able to take this. Hard-fought battle is really the key takeaway, I think, between both of those teams there. The Gladiators did not want to give it up.
No, and they did a great job at taking down the time bank, but there's still over 3 minutes for the Hunters. They've got a much better attack than the Gladiators when they were in that position, and so much credit has got to be given for Jinmu. He is a masterful player in terms of getting impact, value in all of these fights, just using his rockets in the perfect way, working around the map. His mobility is fantastic too. Here's the Gladiators though, going for another aggressive defense, making sure they keep the objective contested at all times. But Muse under all the pressure in the world. Discord Orb is so difficult to deal with.
Yeah, when it's slapped onto you, I mean, there's no real way, no angles in this final stretch of Route 66 to just disconnect it. And these are some staggered kills out as well. The Gladiators are trying to basically die onto the point, but already this card is halfway to that final objective. 2.5 minutes left as well. The Gladiators, I think, are going to be staring, honestly, at Birdring and Shu to try and get something done here with these ultimates.
Yeah, I mean, Shu can nano Muse. That's going to be really difficult for Chengdu to deal with, unless Leave finds a pick. Ooh, the shield bash away. Skewed manages to keep his life.
Yeah, they're going to be diving right into the back line. The Gladiators, an instant response. The back cap almost there, but Skewed just going to be watching that payload, that objective. Jinmu removed as well, taken out. Potentially hacked, so he couldn't get away. It's hard to tell when we weren't really watching the POV of it, but more importantly as well, the Gladiators managed to hold that while holding on to the nano boost.
Yeah,
Another ultimate to use for this next defense.
It was a very cheap team fight from LA. And I don't know about this Orisa pick. It makes sense for this portion of the map, but it's also incredibly static, and Muse is going to have so much fun just jumping into them with a nano and a primal. He can get past this shield and cause absolute havoc.
He's in straight away, and there was nothing to really push him away from that high ground. The pulse is good. Fire away. Well, that's just going to be taken out straight away.
Kev's not really in the fight here.
He's almost going down. Yeah, Kev's had to just back off away from that, but the rally armor of Evital just keeping their team up. Whip shot's not going to connect there, but luckily Space is cleaning up on the damage from afar.
He's just trying to get these long-range whip shots, see if he can generate some more healing.
Weird team fight.
It is a weird team fight, but because the Gladiators weren't clean with it, now the Hunters have an opportunity to counterattack. LA backing off, don't have the biggest ults in the world to use. Rally, sure, but Chengdu have got some nice tools here as well.
The bomb maybe getting caught onto something there. The Dragon Strike from Leave, it pushed the positioning and Shoes taken out. Quick little headshot, that's going to be doing the brunt of the damage, and with the Transcendence healing keeping them up. And the Hunters now 30 seconds looking to try and finish this one and close this one out. They are getting the pickoffs. Just need to finish that one up. Actually, the hack fades away, so the recall comes back online for them.
Kev's just slipped away though. He's still alive in the midst of all of this. He can recontest. And Birdring's very close to an EMP. Gladiators are not out of this yet.
Evital, okay. Just have to back off around the corner. Has the rally coming through. That self-destruct though should push them away for but a moment. Space though. Gonna get onto that payload. Now the EMP comes in, the engagement comes out. That's a good EMP. Catches onto a couple of them. And now Eamon as well. He's just a sitting target for them. Takes him out pretty easily. Doesn't have the fortify or the shield when he's hacked up here.
The OT.
Like the Gladiators with the OT. Nobody's touching it. The Chengdu Hunters with ample opportunities potentially to get back onto that. But the Gladiators, when it was looking so good for the Chengdu Hunters, all the way on that attack, right at the end, they get chewed up. And the map is going to be going to the Gladiators.
And Chengdu have definitely tried some adaptations in this series since the last time they lost in a 5-mapper to LA. But this purple squad, the Lions from LA, they are on such a heater. They have dominated their way through the upper portion of this bracket, and the fun does not stop here. It's first to 4. The Gladiators haven't won yet, but everything new that the Chengdu Hunters have thrown at them has been swatted aside. LA is on the warpath.
They are certainly feeling it. You can see them right now as well. Complete concentration on all of their faces. You know, they know as well. One map away from closing out this series and taking away the Countdown Cup. It will be theirs, and what a win that would be. The Chengdu Hunters staring down the barrel of defeat. They have to try and rally back into this series as well, as we're heading into map number 5 in the grand finals. We'll see you in just a few.
Oh, good one. Target. Oh, someone is nice, good shit.
Oh, nice.
Hey.
Please play around me more.
마이크 체크 좀 이따 한번 하자. 마이크 체크. 나 제스처. 나 투유. 똑바로.
Broadcast will be doing an end of map comms. They'll be okay with occasional curse words, but would like them to refrain from anything too extreme.
So I gotta say, oh man.
If it ain't hardcore, keep my name out your mouth. You know what I'm about. You know what I'm about.
Hottie, how you gonna let Fried Wiener athlete you like that? His answer was so much better than yours.
What answer of what?
Vancouver Titans already.
Spark, I'll pay you $5 if you say the London Spitfire are ready for takeoff.
Fine, that's me $5. I would put it for 5. Yeah, do it.
Link to our Twitter at the end.
No, the London Spitfire. I was close enough. That's close.
No exclamation marks.
I just typed it for free.
Okay, I'll do $3.
Casa, what do you expect?
Voila! Ooh. No. That's incorrect. I got Paris.
No, you can't change.
Johnny, the producers don't lie.
그런데? 왜한 명도 없어?
미안하다.
아까 하나 있는 거 아니었어?
바꿨는데? 잘못 찍었대.
번복했어. 누가? 인포스.
But your hair looks different. Looks different.
Okay, city center. Which map is this? Is the car one?
The big one.
City center.
That's this map.
Ooh.
If ever you are far away from me, I'm counting down until the day I see your eyes in mine. When you return again, you're everything, a lover and a friend.
I'm confused now. I don't even know what we're doing.
Follow Gator. No, Gator, you know what to do.
I don't know anymore. I'm just confused.
Follow Gator.
Don't follow me. I don't know where I'm going.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Shut up, man.
여기.
맞아.
Nice.
Nice shot, gentlemen. Nice shot.
Let's go.
The pirate ship is rocketing through the rough waters of the Countdown Cup tournament, and you can get this legendary skin before August 30th for 200 league tokens, I should say. Imagine how tilting it'll be for your enemies when they see you just sailing through Junkertown with that equipped. I mean, it's almost an insta-win, isn't it? It's almost an insta-win.
It really is. It really is. I wish we had the option to be able to select what map we played in Overwatch Ranked, because I would just be selecting Junkertown constantly. I'm not normally the biggest fan of playing that map when it comes to my ranked games, but I would be picking it. I would be getting this skin, and I'd be just sitting on the payload.
Yeah, and I would not be playing with you. I mean, I'd be left, shielding, pocketing you? I mean, it's just not happening.
Any of those things.
Yeah, we are deep in this series, though, and for the Chengdu Hunters, you can see, I think maybe your late young just stifling a long yawn. It is one map away. It is, yeah. One map away here for the Gladiators to essentially take the Countdown Cup finals, and it's really defying a lot of the narratives and expectations for this team that have been set prior, Josh.
That's absolutely true. I mean, most of the devs thought that Chengdu would have more to gain from their prior upper semi-final game against the Gladiators. Hasn't really worked out in that way. We've seen Chengdu make a lot of adaptations, but almost all of them have resulted in failure, honestly. Now we're going back to their normal roster, with Gaga subbing in for Eamon. We've got Monk back in for Farway as well. And so this is more of a default look for them. Unfortunately, Eamon and Farway not able to replicate the success they've had in the past. Brent, I just want to weave you a tale here, though, because we've seen in some of our prior stage finals, we've seen these incredible games where one team goes up 3-1 and then there's a semi-reverse sweep and it ends 4-3 to the other team. We've seen it happen. It's happened in our stage finals. Could happen again.
Certainly could, yeah. And with these subs coming in as well, let's take a look at some of the stats over the course of this series as well. For Gaga as Winston, you can see that some of the numbers he's been putting up have been pretty good actually in terms of his deaths per 10 minutes. I think I can't remember the exact number compared to his wrecking ball over the course of the Countdown Cup, or potentially you know, over the last few the last series when these two teams actually clashed earlier on in the Countdown Cup, but definitely having a better time of things now when they kind of default over to those Winston compositions. Don't know how much of that we're going to be seeing as we're heading into the next map, which should be Control, but yeah, it's intriguing, honestly. And yeah, the Chengdu Hunters not having the same success that they once had in the prior series when they played against the Gladiators, particularly on a lot of the maps.
What I find to be very interesting there, though, is that we actually saw both teams playing much more Orisa than I was expecting of them. Both of these squads are very versatile. They can play Winston comps, they can play ball comps, they can play Orisa comps as well. And we've even seen the Gladiators actually flex onto a little bit of Rhine recently, but I don't think that's going to be coming out here. So I was wondering what direction this game would go in, and we've definitely seen a big variation compared to previously, and that's surprising because we have 4 out of 5 of the exact same maps that we saw when these guys faced off in the Countdown Cup upper semi-finals. So there was a likelihood that it could have gone in the exact same way, and it has not. It has deviated thoroughly. Chengdu have thrown some really different stuff at us, and the Gladiators have been able to take all of those curveballs and deal with them handily. And now we find ourselves heading into Ilios. This was the first map of their former match. Chengdu coming out, Leave had a stonker of a game, just performed so well, and they were able to get out to an early lead. Are we going to see the same thing here, where the Hunters are able to rally back with an excellent performance from their star player, or is this going to be the same map 5 crumble that we witnessed in their prior match? I have no idea, Brent. So far, it looks like it's leaning towards the latter.
Yeah, the Gladiators have looked so good. Honestly, so good. And as much as, you know, we've been singing the praises of Jinmu and Leave as well, it's been Kevster and Birdering with this kind of subtle job of kind of shutting down a lot of what's been coming their way. And heading into Ilios, like you said, it was the Chengdu Hunters that took it last time. These two teams played against each other. But this time around, things are looking very different. And the Chengdu Hunters teasing us a little bit here. The Orisa composition is going to be coming out. The Gladiators running a bit of a wrecking ball, a clash of styles to open things up.
Chengdu love running these Orisa comps to start things out on Control. Allows them to play Leave and Jinmu. Gaga can play these very defensive positions, just bunkered up with a shield. I mean, look at his positioning there. Just creating a little fortress on the floor with his Orisa shield. No threat to anybody, very difficult to dig out of that position, but he does leave the rest of his team extremely isolated.
It becomes quite difficult, honestly, for the Gladiators to get in and try and get a lot of work done. With Kevster going down, there's nothing to really follow up on the power drive that came in through from Muse there. Jinmu as well, he's getting away with murder in the backline. Shu just had nobody to peel for him in that scenario. And there should be a little bit of a micro disengage, a bit of a soft reset now for the Gladiators, just to try and regroup and figure out how exactly are we going to be trying to break through this. When you look at the ultimates that the Chengdu Hunters have as well, Josh, I mean, this Amp Matrix is online as well.
Yeah, I think they have 2 serious options here. One is to try and roll through Gaga, displace him from his shield and punish the main tank. And the other option is to ignore him entirely, leave him until last, and just try and dive onto Leave. I would prefer if they go for the latter one and try and punish Leave. I think if you take him out early, he's the star player that the Chengdu Hunters are relying on. Yveltal getting pressured, though. He's going to be able to survive
and this is an awkward position as well for Skew to be in. That's Leave, though. Power drive onto him.
But there's no one there.
Yeah, there's no follow-up. There's no sync going out for
There's no DPS players available to get up on this high ground. They need Birdring on Sombra, I think, in these kind of scenarios. The Soldier 76 just isn't going to be able to do enough. I understand that you wanted to be able to pressure Jinmu or Yveltal, but on his own, he can't really do anything.
And I wonder if we're going to be starting to see a swap here. Even though Birdring is so close to that tactical visor.
Which is a good tool
to use. Okay. The Widowmaker.
He took one shot of Jinmu, though, and Jinmu recognized it and just dipped down.
Ooh, I mean, that was dangerously close and potentially one of the only opportunities he's going to be afforded. The Widowmaker has to get value here because now we're looking at the Chengdu Hunters with 80% in counting. Kevster taken out again, by the way. Evital's going to be falling off the edge of the map. No one was there to collect him out. Jinmu, very low. The barrage comes through off to the side, but he takes himself out in the process. Still, 90% for the Chengdu Hunters. No one on the Gladiators looks even close to contesting this one. They look a little bit lost, dare I say, honestly, in terms of the composition they want to run.
I don't think anyone's going to be able to touch this objective in the slightest, and that was a comprehensive outplaying from Chengdu. I mean, the Gladiators had no adaptation that worked at all. If you only watched that round of Ilios, you would not believe how the series has gone so far. Some of these maps have been so one-sided. The first map was pretty heavily in favor of Chengdu as well when we got to control that time around. And then the three in the middle were very heavily in favor of the Gladiators. Now we're back on control and Chengdu is doing really well again.
And we'll see what they have to try and answer back to that. For the Chengdu Hunters, they know that this is the series on the line. And they're playing like it. An early round lead sets them up beautifully.
I want them to heavily focus on shutting down Lee. If that means Birdring getting hacks on him and trying to punish. I mean, just playing aggressive. I think the Gladiators, their dive is going to be their best option.
Now they do have Birdring on the Sombra with Kevster alongside him. They can try and set something up with Muse as the power drive. Kevster's finding it difficult, I think, at the moment to get into a lot of these angles, but looking at the beatdown just to force out the translocated air of Jinmu. Just needs to dodge out of the way as well of the neutral hacks coming in his way. And Chengdu Hunters are eating a lot of damage just trying to get anything done here. Kevster is so aggressive right now, and the follow-up is there. Gaga ends up going down. This is a different look now from the Gladiators. They've come out with a bit more of a surefire way of taking the team fights. They, I think, almost outthought themselves a little bit with the composition that they ran on the prior round, but now with early control of the point, they know exactly how this is supposed to be played. Kevster forced back, but another power drive right into the damage. That's Monk taken out.
Nicely done, but Birdring punished and leave with a pulse. He's always so good for them.
Oh, there we go.
The backline has been ripped through, and surely this is the Hunters. Kevster's doing his best, just trying to sync up with Muse. Zipping away as the Tracers battle for supremacy over on the side, and Leave, he'd love to take that health back, but it's been denied away.
He can't, and it's actually pushed him out of the fight for but a moment. The Gladiators have an opportunity to recontest this right now. Kevster, he knows that D-Mech is ready and waiting. In fact, straight up onto the high ground. Dodge the volley.
He's got a better target.
Quick little sidestep. Oh, almost gone for the pulse bomb there. Did almost connect. Has to back off around the corner, though. No recall on him.
And Chengdu at no point flipped it. I mean, Gladiators still in control.
55% going up. Evital with the rally to try and lead it in, but the Gladiators, they haven't had to use anything. Just waiting it out. Birdring gets spotted just around the corner there. Bit of flail action just to try and take him out of it. There's the EMP! Doesn't connect. The Gladiators completely healthy in this regard, but Scoot's going to be going off the edge anyway. Still, 71% now for the Gladiators. Still trying to keep this one going. Birdring holding on to this EMP. Space as well trying to heal for them, but Shu is going to be falling there. In the end, just trading it out with the mech. EMP still online for them. The Gladiators look to try and go into this one again. Birdring might be teasing with the idea, but that's a whip shot to the face. Takes him out. And finally, the Chengdu Hunters are able to get control of the point.
They got the better end of that. They traded their EMP for Shu's Trance, and then they ran at them with Monk's Transcendence, just using that healing to overwhelm the Gladiators. But the end result means Birdring has an extra EMP, and Leityoung is only just now getting back into his mech. They haven't gone for a forward hold. The Gladiators are going to have a lot of space here to just walk back in and get a huge ult. Birdring detected. That's going to set things back for a moment.
Yeah. In fact, you can see that time, that one window, Leave already just dove right in there.
But Birdring is getting set up now.
Yeah, the mines now scattered to the one side of the point. Leave doesn't have the recall, but the pulse bomb is definitely going to be finding its mark. That's the EMP though, and Leave is hacked up. Will there be anything to really follow this up? It doesn't look like it. Space going to be demeched as well. They're all too low. The Gladiators just don't have the health to try and contest this one still. Leave will get hacked up there with the Discord orb on him. It is easy to take him out. But Chengdu don't seem to be too phased by it.
That's another team fight that Leave wins just by landing the pulses. He is so good, and he saves the Hunters in so many scenarios.
Kevster, okay. force that one out. We'll see if he can do anything with this pulse bomb, one of his own. Because that's a rally going to be used already. That's Late Young eating it up. The prediction came round. They knew they could read it like a book. Here comes the South Destructor as well, right over the top. But not able to get back into the mech. Birdring is going to be able to take him out with a Transcendence healing, pushing across the point. Another pulse bomb though. Leave is just ridiculous right now. And now we are potentially seconds away from the Chengdu Hunters taking this map, potentially taking this series back under their control. Really diving deep for a lot of these picks now. They know that if they get these stagger kills, this is going to be done and dusted. Chasing them down to the ends of the earth, into the ruins of Ilios. Monk not even really needing to use that Transcendence. You can see Birdring had to just uncloak for but a moment to keep this overtime going, but can anyone even touch? Doesn't seem likely. The Chengdu Hunters going to be walking away with Ilios, and it felt really like they weren't really challenged.
And what a bizarre series this is. It continues going and going. This, our grand finals of the Countdown Cup. Both of these teams refuse to give an inch. I would have told you that the Chengdu Hunters looked down and out. That this almost seemed like a final map that would be a coronation for the Gladiators in their first stage final. And yet it's not. Chengdu look unbeatable when it comes to control maps. That might not matter too much because we're going back over to Escort and some other game types here, but when it comes to control, the Hunters are firmly there.
Yeah, it's a bizarre series of events that are unfolding beneath us here, but the Chengdu Hunters have kept themselves into this series with that win on control. And, well, they're going to do it one more time, honestly, to bring us to that final map as well and have a chance of potentially taking it away. Still, the series continues, and we will be heading into map 6 right after this break, ladies and gentlemen, so don't go anywhere. You know you don't want to miss it.
OK OK。哎嘿，这很近，在我这儿，没信标。死了，还没人摸。牛逼！我操，清血。
The Frag video contest is back, and we want to see your best compilation videos of the top frags from the Countdown Cup tournament for a chance to win $3,000. Find out more at blizzard.wishpond.com/countdown-cup for your chance to enter and potentially win that $3,000. A lot more is on the line though in this series currently, and Chengdu Hunters showing surprising returns to life, honestly, off the back of that control map, because outside of that, honestly, this series has felt very one-sided. It's almost like the Gladiators have been in complete control initially after that first map, obviously the Chengdu Hunters taking it, but it's been relatively easy for them.
Yeah, and I think that shows great mental resilience from Chengdu, that they aren't just down and out, even after making these adaptations and losing 3 maps in a row. They've still got the resilience to come back with quite a dominant game on Ilios. And now, again, the map picks are so wild, because Chengdu picked King's Row last time they played. Now the Gladiators are picking King's Row into the Chengdu Hunters. It makes sense from both teams' perspective. Chengdu had a great record on it, but they ended up losing it. The Gladiators won last time, why not pick it again? We have all 5 of the maps that were played in their last match against each other, plus then that extra of Numbani. So to set some context here, again, Gladiators ended up winning this last time. And in that match, it seemed like Chengdu were very scattered. They didn't know exactly what to play. There were a lot of compositional swaps. The teamwork looked good. Leave didn't have a standout performance, which I think they'll definitely want to rectify here again. But to me, it came down to the comps and the identity of Chengdu. They just seemed to be lacking a little bit. They didn't have the greatest understanding of how to counter the Gladiators. That's the kind of thing that a VOD review can help shift.
Yeah, and they've had time to do so as well. For the Gladiators, they've had a bit longer, I think, as well, making it to the finals. They get to, you know, watch and prep a little bit more.
And Brent, it was this, really. It was the BAP Zen backline from Gladiators that was causing Hunters so many problems. It's a greedy backline, and it has so much poke. Chengdu are going to come out with the Hangzhou, with the Farah. This is all very default stuff. Just trying to apply pressure to Muse. But eventually here, I'd like to see Leave go over to something like the Tracer to try and harass Shu and Skewed. He needs to be able to punish this backline.
Oh, yeah. It's a ton of responsibility on his shoulders as well. A lot of this team's performances, it lives and dies based on how well he is going to be playing. That's an Immortality Field used early. You can see the damage they're putting in. Bird Ring. Okay, that's just naughty. Oh my god.
And the mercy. Oh my, the fadeaway final shot. And Jinmu's immediately swapped over to Genji here. So I'd love to see them even go for the full swap and have Leaf play Tracer. Yep, that's what they're going to go for. So this is a very heavy dive comp. And again, the focus here is on being able to take out, I would say Shu and Skewed, but they might go for Bird Ring as well, depending on what the positioning of these targets.
Power Drive comes in, right up top there. That's the Immortality Field that has to be committed. Jinmu forces that out. He can be pleased with it, but the Dragon Striker's going to throw a wrench into the plans they might have here. The Chengdu Hunters, though, with that kill onto Muse, potential to turn it. As I say that, though, Kevster is definitely just tearing them to pieces, playing off the back of these Discord orbs. Still need to be careful, though. You never know what might happen. Forcing out the dash there. Jinmu just has to get back to safety with the rest of his team. The good news for them, though, Muse going down means that he's only just going to be getting back into this team fight, so there's not really going to be a setup for them here. If Chengdu go quickly, they have a window of opportunity.
Yeah, but the bad news is they've got 2 minutes on the clock and Muse has a supercharger, and he's already back in the fight. And Shu was so good at being able to reposition there, diving up, or jumping up rather, towards that window. Good pressure from Immortal as well. Space was a monster in their previous series, and that is such a good opportunity.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and they just hunt him down. I mean, the supercharger is honestly just one of the best ultimates in the game. If you get it into the right position where the enemy just has no choice but to either respect it or commit to take it out, yeah, good luck. It gave Space enough damage to take out Evital, just sniped out of the sky. And these ultimates are not being built up right now. Leave, you got a pick there. That could have been something to open things up, but it's looking really difficult for them.
Look at the little fortress that Muse has created too. Monk only at 40% of his first nano because he just cannot get the healing onto Gaga properly. With Gaga playing ball rather than Winston.
All the attention being placed onto him. Leave, 28 health and a dream! Okay, the spam comes round. It wasn't even Kevza that took him out. The Dragon Strike as well pushes them all away.
Good res.
But they do get the res off, yes. Chengdu Hunters potentially back into this now. Jinmu has the blade. There's no nano boost though to accompany this. And what is he going to have to try and tear through it? Well, the Immortality Field gets deleted, and so does Shu. Skewed has to use that Transcendence to try and stay alive into this one, and now it is really getting scrappy. The Chengdu Hunters want to be trying to win this one out with the nano boost onto Jinmu. They want just a pure neutral game, and he's going to be able to pull it off anyway.
What a performance from Jinmu. He just gets the damage boost from Evil Toll, just the Mercy damage boost. And that's enough to be able to chop through, get rid of that supercharger. And they perform pretty fantastically there, but that was their, 30 seconds left. And that was their ult cycle. They had one shot of being able to take that. If Jinmu gets shut down, that's the game. Over. Done. The Gladiators are 4-2 and they win the Countdown Cup. So Hunters are playing on a knife's edge currently. Birdring now with the swap over to Sombra. Miles away from EMP, obviously. I'm looking at Leave's Pulse Bomb here to tear things open, because otherwise the Hunters don't have that many tools to get in.
They've got it. One in hand. Look at the spam they're taking though. Leave can't even blink in without the risk coming their way. Pulse Bomb's going to be sticking onto the Immortality Field. I see Kevster using one of his own as well. Positioning into the corner there, but it's the Chengdu Hunters who are winning out the team fight. There's something to deal with Kevster though. Young gets taken out. Now, yeah, with the Harmony Orb on him, how does he get away with that? Leave just gets destroyed. Still hunting him. That's going to be the recall. Now going to be used up. Kevster still causing issues.
Right? I mean, Kevster's just going to stagger himself eventually. So now he's set up a scenario where the Gladiators can't really... It's the backline. Monk and Evil Took can play so much further forwards now that Kevster's in the spawn queue. And that's going to apply more pressure to Muse and Space in the front line. Jinmu with another blade. He doesn't have the Mercy damage boost this time too, so this is going to be much harder for Jinmu to get value. I think they've just got to kite this. You can't push past the shield.
Yeah, the supercharger dropped means gotta respect it.
Back it up. Back it up, wait for double support ultimate, and then Jinmu can have his success. Leave with a pick!
No way. And that's going to operate straight away. Jinmu wants to use this blade. That's no more Immortality Field. He's going to be finding it hard to get that dash reset. The pull might get one there, so it does have it available now. Self-destruct right up into the sky, pushes them all away. The Transcendence healing for the Chengdu Hunters. That's Monk just leading his team to victory with the Discord Orb on Muse. He can't escape it, has to back off, but these ultimates are being committed. Shu is in the backline with the window. He's just going to be pumping in the damage and the healing from afar here, but no one's really dealing with them. What a stick! Kevster potentially taking matters into his own hands, but the Chengdu Hunters have already dealt with the backline that was around them. The rally being committed into this one. I don't know if they've got the damage or the players to try and win this one out, but they do force out the ultimates. Supercharger dropped. Muse just essentially shredded. Kevster has to be taken out there in the end. Leave is the one to do the job.
That's probably worthwhile though for the Gladiators, trading Rally for Supercharger. They're both high-value ultimates, but I think the advantage there does go to the Gladiators for this next team fight in terms of ultimate strength. But the Hunters are starting to go forwards here. The momentum is definitely on their side. Jinmu should not be able to find the value that he's getting, but he's just a nutcase on Genji. He's just so mechanically skilled. And he's going to have a rally in this next fight to help use. That pick would be so huge for Birdring to find. He just can't get it.
Find it. The aggression by the Chengdu Hunters, though, they're just pushing forwards. The rally armor is going to be empowering now. Moving across the point, that's going to be the flashbanger. Does connect, Leave, channeling up the Deadeye. Needs to get something done, but that's Muse already taken out again. One by one, the Gladiators struggling to contest. Finally, Birdring just whipping himself around onto the objective. Space will be next, though, with that Discord Orb. No one has been able to deal with Monk this entire time. It felt like he's been permanently on 300 health. Supercharger from the backline, though, still pushing forwards. Leave eventually is going to go down, but not before the damage is firmly done. It's the Chengdu Hunters finishing with 1 minute and 1 second.
Could be pivotal. That could be pivotal. You think about how good this attack time bank is, considering they had 30 seconds left to capture point A. I mean, this match, this tournament could be over at this point if the Hunters had not been able to get that blade from Jinmu that did so much work to set all of that momentum up for them. If that blade doesn't find value in that final team fight, this map is already over, the series is over, the tournament's over, the Gladiators have won. And then the return to be able to storm through checkpoint B and C and still have such a great time bank, the momentum is firmly in the Hunters camp right now. If they can win here on King's Row and tie this up at 3-3, it is really anybody's game for the final map, and the Gladiators are going to be severely tested.
Oh my goodness, what a finals. It's quite ridiculous. Seeing it all play out like this, the way the Chengdu Hunters are just really just grasping onto absolutely anything. And it's always the DPS players, Leave and Jinmu, who are the ones who are just coming up with the answers when they need it.
Absolutely. I mean, they have been phenomenal for them today. They've been rough on certain maps, but I would argue that was more to do with the choices coming out from the compositions or coaching staff at some point. The actual individual play from Leave and Jinmu has been on point. And now here they are on the far at Hangzhou again. A lot of pressure here on the Gladiators to crack this, but they do have a lot of poke damage. Shu and Skewed playing this greedy backline to grab Zen again.
They can be dove pretty easily, but the Chengdu Hunters, well, they're running in the Orisa comp themselves, so yeah, could be happening anytime soon. Yeah, it's not like Leave can just dive into the backline and cause havoc. He's hunting for these headshot arrows. Shield gets destroyed. Immortality Field has to be used, and that's a great halt. Pulls Shu right into line of sight that Leave can just capitalize. Finding the arrows one after the other. A great first team fight win here for the Chengdu Hunters.
And you think about Kevster on Tracer here. If Kevster was playing Tracer into a Bab Zen, something like that, then yeah, he'd have opportunities to go crazy. When he tries to get pressure onto Monk, Evil Tull is going to be there immediately to try and peel. And there's the Bionade to have to deal with, and Sleep Dart, and all those other things that make it difficult for Kevster to apply pressure. So they're just kind of missing that extra poke that Chengdu have access to. Unless Kevster or Birdring go crazy, their team is going to be at somewhat of a disadvantage, I think.
Yep. Shots coming through, just off to the side there, that's a kill onto Monk, yep. Set up actually by Kevster, who's in the backline. Another headshot onto Leave. Birdring coming alive. As much as we're giving the appropriate amount of respect there to the Chengdu Hunters DPS duo, still finding their way in here.
Yeah, what a step up from Birdring. His team needed those picks, and it was combined really nicely. Kevster pressuring Monk, but Kevster wasn't going to get the pick on his own. He needed help from Birdring, and he was there perfectly with the arrow, exactly when required. They need more of that magic, though. That's a great time back to start things off. 4.5 minutes. So much better than Hunters when they were in this position.
Look at Birdring. The amount of damage is coming in his way. The Immortality Field just could not connect onto him. It's the Bionade that does all that damage. Monk just finding around these sly little angles here with an Anubis now just dropped onto Jinmu. The barrage. Oh, that's just an absolute freebie. Yeah, nothing to really stop that one. Ultimate's still committed though. Space feeling like he needs to commit into this one with Gaga falling, I suppose. They do have the further spawns, and Birdring getting 2 here. I mean, yeah, the Chengdu Hunters have no choice but to just back off around the corner here. A staggered out team fight like that does, in the end, favor the Gladiators, given the fact that they spawn so quickly.
Amazing play from Birdring again. Space made the space literally for him with that self-destruct, and Birdring just steps up and finds 2 kills. Isolates Gaga, who's now swapped over the ball, and finds the pick on Monk. Crucial. Birdring is really getting started now.
Dragon Strike again. He's trying to scout out the Pharaoh Mercy combo. That's a big bomb right into the Bionade. That's being damage boosted as well. The backline just didn't know what hit them. Got a Sleep Dart on top, why not? Just to flex on the opposition.
Bit of backline dip. You don't see that very often. I mean, that was the bomb into Immortality Field, so everybody is really weak, and then Monk just lands the Bionade that finishes everybody off. Gorgeous little set play from the Hunters. Just winning that one very cleanly. Pretty cheap. Let's take a look at it. There's Late Young in.
Bomb. Yeah, straight in. And we see some changes now with the composition from the Gladiators here. Shu goes down. That's just from the damage boosted rockets again. Jinmu just up high ups in the sky on the rooftops. They still want to try and take this though, with Gaga falling, Leaf trying to turn things around. That's going to be the post bomb. What is that tracking? The 80-80 spam, not enough. Leaf just takes him out. I mean, just ridiculous.
Kevster with a good kill actually to be able to take down Leaf, but it's just too little, too late. Shu gives up his Amp Matrix to swap over to Ana. A much better pick to synergize with the rest of their composition. But there's 2 minutes on the clock right now, and the Gladiators are playing a comp that relies on ult cycling. And they don't have any. They're not even close to any. So it's going to be quite a while before the Gladiators are able to come up with something here. Barring some enormous hack coming out from Birdring, or a crazy kill from Kevster as he duels Leave on the flank, something like that. Unless there's some magic, the Gladiators are going to take a while to get online.
Not an Anubis onto Jinmu though.
There's the hack. What's Leave?
Jinmu might be able to turn this around for them. Yeah, especially with Gaga. He's just corralled the backline into that close quarters corridor. Still alive as well, so just buying even more time for them.
Birdring did what he could. I mean, that is exactly the magic that the Gladiators needed. Just a pick straight off the back onto Leave. But unfortunately, not enough to be able to deal with the nano boosted fire in the face. These ults are starting to tick up, but 30 seconds is gone.
Yeah, barely any time.
Oh, Monk setting up for the Bionade play. A pile drive, Bionade coming out here onto the back line.
A bit of a whiff there, actually, and they do know that now Monk is in the back line. Going to be pushing right around the corner. That's going to be the hack up. The tank's very weak and susceptible at the moment to a lot of that damage coming through. The self-destruct still gets Muse, though, in the middle of this. Jinmu as well using that barrage to catch a lot of the players coming around the corner. And we're looking now at just a minute on the clock here. The Gladiators have finally built up a lot of these ultimates they need to get going. But at what cost, Josh?
I still think the Gladiators have the advantage here. I think they can make it to checkpoint B. I know the payload has a long way to go. There's probably 2 team fights, which might favor things towards the Hunters. But as long as Leave does not find value with this pulse, EMP, Bionade, Nano Boost, the Gladiators have everything they need. Hack onto Eviltul as well. They find the first pick.
The post bomb, though, it pushed them all into their line of sight. Leave manages to get 2 as the backline's destroyed, but the Gladiators, they're still trying to hang on. 20 seconds remaining now. Chengdu Hunters are definitely weak, and look at that, Muse just sneaking up onto Leave. Didn't even know that was happening. Finds the kill with a beatdown anyway. A critical pickoff. Right now it's looking so even between them with the staggered kill onto Lei Young as well. It's going to be one final overtime team fight just before checkpoint B in all likelihood.
But they didn't have to use too many ults. Gladiators still have Nano, EMP. They're still favored here to take checkpoint B. Again, Chengdu have got to come out with something huge to stop them here.
Kevster with the pulse bomb. Might be able to make it happen. He spotted
what
it!
A stick!
Monk goes down, but can they deny the res? Yes, they can! Tracking them all down with the nano boost applied. Well, that's going to be that. A team fight win, and what a setup from Kevster. When all the responsibility and pressure was on his shoulders, he's the one who delivered.
What a play. Gladiators, it was high risk, high reward going for that massive compositional swap, but the ult cycle got online just in the nick of time, and they have been able to get this one started. Momentum in their favor, sure, but now they only have the rally. This ult cycle has started to die down, the momentum's slowing. This is going to be their hardest fight.
He doesn't have to sleep for Jinmu! The barrage comes through and there's nothing to stop it. Shu is taken out with the hack. That's an instant trade. The mines are going to be preventing them from pushing across. They have to clear them meticulously across the point. There's only 50 seconds left now. This pulse bomb that Leave is still holding on to here. The player's going to be able to get back into this, and the rally is still held. The Chengdu Hunters, though, are making swaps.
I mean, the Torb really is difficult for the Gladiators team comp to try and deal with, but they have the rally, which is good against small, sustained damage like that.
Skew gets taken out. There's no more rally for this team fight. The Chengdu Hunters, that could have just been an absolute miracle handed to them, but Leave is going to be taken out anyway. And now, all eyes on Kevster. 20 seconds remaining. The whip shot pushed him back. He thought he was going to be predicted, and he's removed from the fight. The Chengdu Hunters. Oh my goodness. A series of very intelligent switches right at the final moment have just absolutely stumped the Gladiators. And now Kings Row, oh wow, they've been set up for an absolute miracle here. Coming right back into this series as the overtime's going to be trickling down here. They're in prime control. No one can touch. And we are going to the final map in this series.
I would not have believed it if you told me a couple of maps ago that this was going all the way to 7. The Hunters look down and out, and now look at the smiles across their faces. Lei Young, formerly with his head in his hands, now confidently taking a sip of hydration, and the pressure is all back onto the Gladiators. Oh my! The last time these two teams faced off, it went the distance, and how could I have doubted it? It does again. What do the mentalities of these two teams look like? Neither of them have managed to secure a stage finals win. The Gladiators, it's their first time even being here. Whose mental will be strong enough to take this final map?
That's what it's all going to come down to. Map 7, ladies and gentlemen. We wouldn't have had it any other way. We're going to be finding out just what the conclusion is of the grand finals of the Countdown Cup right after this.
几比几啊？3比8。
Call me when everyone's back there.
Not back. Close their mouth. Don't worry.
Oh, bird ring to the back. Oh, dearie me. Yeah, you are very dead. Bird ring comes in. The ash play. It's filthy. It's goal time. It's bird ring. He's going off. That's unbelievable. Here we go. Bird ring, bird ring, bird ring, bird ring, bird. Oh my god. Sit down. This is so juicy. Is he going to get it? He does. Oh, that is filthy. From the shadows he emerges.
I don't know if he was aiming for that.
No one knows what's going on. Only Birdring is in control of this fight. No! It's like a pizza oven in there!
This is spicy. Welcome back from the break, everybody. Oh my goodness. I mean, what a series to end the regular season, honestly. The Canada Cup finals going to the absolute wire between the Gladiators and the Chengdu Hunters. And, I mean, honestly, an absurd amount of mental resilience for the Chengdu Hunters to be able to bounce their way back into this series when essentially they were looking down and out, Josh.
They totally were. And I would say in their previous match that went to 5, that was part of the issue for Chengdu, is that they collapsed in the final map. They weren't able to bring that same level that they brought in the rest of the game. And so I thought, you know, it's looking kind of the same. Maybe the Hunters don't have that mental fortitude to close out these big games. But that final map against a good team is always the hardest to get. And Gladiators have been finding it really difficult to actually get past the finish line here. Brent, if they crumble at the final moments, the fan base is going to eat the Gladiators alive. I mean, they have had these moments occur regularly throughout their history, and they need this. The Gladiators need this to give them the confidence heading into the playoffs. You know, they've done a great job in the Canada Cup. They guaranteed their playoff position. They've essentially done what they came here for. But that little bit extra is now required of them to prove to everybody that this roster isn't just great at sometimes, it's great when it matters.
Yeah, that's going to be part of the real issue, I suppose, that the Gladiators are going to try and get over heading into the final map of this series. Let's take a look at some of the statistics of the Hangzhou players. And as you can see here, Leave has been kind of leading in almost every single category. Ultimately, though, it is Birdering actually kind of just edging ahead ever so slightly in some of them, but yeah, it's been a closely fought battle. In particular, Birdering really coming alive at the tail end of this series on the Hangzhou. Some very noticeable moments of him getting the individual pickoffs. But you're exactly right, Josh, to bring it back to these narratives as well that have been following the Gladiators as a franchise for so long. I mean, you are just looking in the exact opposite direction as well.
I was looking at the Hangzhou stats
there. I know.
I was looking at the Hangzhou stats.
That was very amusing. But the point I was trying to make here is that the Gladiators, again, it's the fans aren't going to remember the Shock Gladiators match that got them to Hawaii. The thing that really, for me in my eyes, pushed them away from that kind of narrative of them not being able to close and adapt to a lot of games and finish them out. It's this match that's going to stick into everyone's mind before the play-ins and playoffs. It's this right here, Chengdu versus Gladiators in Map 7.
Yeah, and I think what the Gladiators fans have to realize is this is already an amazing performance from LA. You know, this is their first stage finals appearance. This is invaluable experience no matter what. And they're still playing some of the best Overwatch they've played all year long. I stand by that. Gladiators are still playing phenomenally. It's just that Chengdu has now come back into the series. The plays that we're seeing from them, the adaptations, the compositional swaps, those were really lacking in those 3 maps that they lost. I would say Chengdu actively lost those 3 maps, and they made it too easy for the Gladiators to get a very big 3-1 lead. Now we're seeing them come back in and play at the form we expected, and it's going the distance. I am so excited for this. I do not know what to expect. Either team could take it at this point. It just depends on your form of the day. What can they bring in the final hour of the regular season?
It's all going to be taking place on Havana. It's the final stage for both of these teams right here, right now. There's always the minute possibility, I suppose, of them getting a draw and really dragging this out. The tiniest of possibilities.
Don't do it, Brian. Don't do it.
But in all likelihood, it is going to be ending here. Yeah,
you've got to remember,
statistically improbable.
The Gladiators get this map selection because Chengdu won the previous map. They have to choose between Havana or Dorado. I think they're absolutely right taking this to Havana because I would not want to play against Jinmu's Pharah when it comes to Dorado. The kind of meta that has been created at the moment is around running these Orisa, Hangzhou kind of comps. So, interestingly enough, seeing Jinmu pick up the Hangzhou here, who, I mean, it's essentially been Leave this entire time who's been playing that pick. And now Leave picks up the Widow as well, so double sniper defense. If Kevster sees this and goes over to a Tracer, he could cause some havoc.
It is quite weird. I'm not going to deny that. And it puts a lot of emphasis on these DPS players from Chengdu. They got to hit the heads. you can start to kind of split up. I guess you have like almost like this cross-section in terms of angles you can take with either side. But you gotta click the heads. It's gonna be the win conditions, at least early on in a lot of these fights. Leave needs to be careful. Arrow off into the side there, gives them a bit of vision.
And Kevster has gone over to Tracer. He's just working that right-hand side, waiting for an opportunity to come in. Nice headshot. Leave is playing a very aggressive angle right now, but he's always got that grapple available to go up on the high ground if he gets pressured.
And the Gladiators, in their eyes, they're just trying to slowly take up this space and positioning. Kevster is on the Tracer, but he's essentially trying to get into a position where he's not going to be taken out. But Jinmu, with damage boost applied, Shu was an easy target, and probably just bursted down before he even realized what was going on there. I don't think the Immortality Field was in play.
Yeah, here you've got a pick comp playing against a poke comp. Even though Kevster is on Tracer, that's really just for extra harassment. The Gladiators still with their Zen, and with the Hangzhou being mirrored, the Gladiators have more poke onto the Orisa shield. So as long as they can dodge getting sniped by Leave and Jinmu, and giving up those early first picks, they should be able to take just this slow siege.
Already a minute and a half off the clock. No real casualties, but as I say that, Leave and Jinmu, okay. The backline goes away simultaneously. And now nothing to support Muse, left high and dry just onto the point. They do have to worry about Kevster, who is behind them, and they're going to be keeping an eye on that. You can see Late Young actually just flying right into the backline here. It's honestly a lot on Kevster as well to try and set up something to try and get the team in a pick off with this pulse bomb.
It's good from him that he's playing this as safely as possible, because if he got reset at this point, it would be disastrous. Leave playing such a dodgy little angle here. Pops his infrasight, he knows exactly where Kevster is now. Jinmu
oh yeah, Kevster forced to move around there. Leave holding onto the grapple. He knows what's coming for him. He just needs to find the headshots. And Matrix! Yoink forwards! It's a quick and dirty little headshot, but it is going to be at least Monk taken out. Kevster still in the backline, but not enough to deny the res. Still, now the pressure is really getting to them. Birdering rips through Jinmu. Another quick headshot onto Gaga. Takes him out. And Leaf's going to need something absolutely absurd to turn that around. The Gladiators with their pole comp eventually just barreling through.
And it didn't take them too long. A minute and a half still on the clock by the time they secure checkpoint A. Jinmu making the swap over to Genji. Oh my, and that forces Skewed to swap Brig. So now Jinmu going for more of a dive approach, Skewed countering that with his compositional swap, and the Gladiators team comp looks far superior to running Widow Genji here. Unless Leave just dominates, or Jinmu, but unless the DPS players for the Hunters here individually dominate, Gladiators team comp should just slowly, inexorably take space.
It's so difficult for the Chengdu Hunters to be able to find anything whatsoever, but Birdering, he's gone down. Leave on the high ground position. It's right now exactly where he wants to be as well. Perched up, he's be able to just essentially take his time just trying to shoot a lot of these heads. Didn't actually prioritize any of the damage there onto the supercharger, but he does hit one passing by headshot as he eventually drops down. This aggressive angle as well means that he's quite susceptible to getting punished. That's going to be a hold to try and pull him away, but again, just getting these picks as well. Kevster falling, the self-destruct over the top as well pushes them all the way. The Gladiators, they have ultimates, but they're not choosing to invest them just yet.
Birdering pops this Dragon Strike, but he's already lost his main tank here. The Gladiators are defending desperately at this point. Jinmu's been able to do so much with his Pocket Mercy, and Leave is a serious threat. I don't know how he's been able to do so much. I think people forget that he is a scary Widowmaker player as well. Watching him pop off, ages ago in the World Cup, it was evident how good this guy was when it came to his hit scan and his long-range stuff, Widowmaker included. Jinmu with a blade
making it work.
Damage boosted blade into a rally.
He has to die here. He has to die here. In fact, he's threatened the recall out, I think, from Kevster. Kevster didn't want to take the fight. Now he's just in a safe position, just pepping away one at a time. Kevster needs to at least get a pick here, but again, the pocket is instantly there. Leave straight away, back up to 175 health, but Birdering finds it. And that's just the positioning, eventually pushing through. Bit of prediction there from Kevster, trying to anticipate the Exo boost in use. Maybe catching him with the pulse bomb, but not enough. Still, they get the pick. That's good enough for now. They just need to try and convert it into a little bit more.
Jinmu forced to dash away, hasn't found the opportunity to go for a blade, and Birdering is popping off. This Hangzhou is dealing dividends at the moment. He's got another Dragon Strike to be able to use here. And Muse close to a Supercharger. This is going to be very tough. I mean, as soon as the Supercharger goes down, the Chengdu almost have to run past it and just try and kill it with the blade. And kill everybody else as well.
Yeah,
so much responsibility here on Jinmu's Genji.
How they're going to be using it. Jinmu has the blade now. He's going to be letting it loose, but he walks right into the Dragon Strike. 22 health. He's pressured down. He just waded right into it. Got taken down so low enough that it was easy pickings for him. Birdring taking a bit of a flank angle approach. He's got the supercharger damage as well, just to supplement everything that he's putting out. Leaf's still alive as well in this fight, but probably not for much longer. Birdring's eventually going to deal with him. So the Gladiators, this composition is very slow in terms of what it's able to do, but what in the Chengdu is happening here?
I mean, these comps have been just premium Chengdu zone for this final map.
What has happened?
Double sniper, we've seen the Widow Genji, now we're seeing Orisa Ball as well. I don't understand what the Ball is going to be able to do.
I mean, this is the Chengdu Hunters domain expansion. You get taken into the Chengdu zone.
They have played Orisa Ball at some different points throughout the season, but it's normally comboed with some Tracer or something, so that someone can help Gaga. He's just completely alone here. He's just using the objective.
Space pushes it forward, but Late Young not there. Pulse bomb as well from Kevster is good. Just need to deny the res, and they're going to do that. A minute and 10 seconds. Kevster not dissuade in the slightest. Going to be putting in that damage enough for Birdring to catch the body shots. And his payload is moving forwards. More switches now from the Chengdu Hunters. All over the place, really, with a lot of their compositions. But eventually they got Gaga on the Orisa.
They have a Nano available here. Probably going to go on to lead. His tracking's got to be excellent. We know that it usually is. Gladiators have so many good ults. Birdring can isolate one side or the other with his Dragon Strike, and then they can forge a path forwards with Rally.
Here it comes. Dragon Strike cuts across. See a bit of a war ride right up there, just running straight up the side of it there. Jinmu trying to escape really the worst of it. There's an Nano boost on him, but is Leaf really going to be able to do too much? Well, a Helix Rocket definitely is. Bursts them down. Enough for the team to basically chunk down the remaining members. 20 seconds now for the Gladiators.
He's a beast. I mean, Leaf and Jinmu have been popping off in this map. It's just that their comps have been so wonky. The Gladiators are playing a very default, basic, teamwork-based style and still finding success. What is that headshot from long range? Takes down the majority of the healing.
That pick, it could be massive now as it gets into the overtime. Space does not have the heals to even touch on the Wrecking Ball. They have to play forwards. Muse did not want to switch off the Orisa because he's holding on to this supercharger that's just 4% away. But how do they do it? How do they break through? They don't, is the appropriate answer. Going to be stopped just short of that final checkpoint. The Gladiators with a respectable push in Havana, but definitely not a comfortable one.
Yeah, again. Bren, even at this point in the series, I still have no idea who's going to take away this title. It's a good push. But the Hunters could easily turn around and just have Leaf and Jinmu dominate, and then suddenly they're storming through. This could end in a point A full hold. This could end with 3 minutes on the time bank. I do not know what to expect. Chengdu's individual players are so good. The compositions they were running, I think, are quite ill-advised, but they put so much faith and resources into Leaf and Jinmu to pocket Jinmu when he's playing Hangzhou or when he's playing Genji, and Leaf when he's playing the Widowmaker as well. Just, he commands so much respect on the battlefield. You would expect Kevster, a player of his caliber, to be able to deal with that easily, and yet he was tentative, giving a lot of respect to Leaf because he knows what he's capable of.
Gotta do it. You gotta do it. I mean, Leaf was really, truly, I think, getting away with murder as well on the Widowmaker when they were just holding on checkpoint B. But now, seeing a different look entirely. I'm not sure if they're going to switch, stick with this. Leave
Surely
the fire.
Not, right?
No, it's a tease. It's a tease. It's gotta be. There's a Hangzhou. Okay.
Hangzhou Genji with the Orisa. We've seen this happen before. The Shimada brothers attack. Monk on Zen here too, so they do have poke damage coming from the Zen and coming from the Hangzhou. And Jinmu's going to try and scrap it out. Obviously, they can't really play a Hangzhou Tracer comp unless Jinmu picks up the Hangzhou. which isn't bad for them. They might transition to that at some point, but they want to try this out. Jinmu's going to get great value out of the Mercy.
They just jump straight onto him. Damage boost into the Holt, but they still want to fight back. The Gladiators coming right in. They want to take the fight up close and personal. And it has paid off for them. Late Young's going to get demec'd here and presumably staggered off as well, which is only going to be helping them get the rest of their players back in the fight.
Shu wins that though, Brent. He pops down the Immortality field, and that just offers them all the time they need to be able to pop that one up. Hunters had to play much more aggressive because they were playing Ana. Yeah, he already has ult. I mean, he played fantastically in that fight, and he's forced Monk to try and mirror it. And that's just domination. Overkill, you might say, as Birdring gets a headshot through the Amp Matrix onto his partner, onto his opposition.
Yeah, almost entirely unnecessary, but they found it. Kevster with the pulse bomb now as well, just come online. The Chengdu Hunters looking to push this around the corner, and Jinmu has the blade. A big dragon blade. Slap on a damage boost, you could have something going. Jinmu though taking a ton of damage, and now here it comes, the blade right through them. But Kevster answers back into the backline still. Jinmu might be able to get it, not quite. Shut down, that's Birdring, who's going to be credited with the kill.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! He just ripped Evitol's head off. He's sick of the Mercy plays kicking around with the pistol plays and everything else. And Late Young not going to be allowed to get back into the mech. That was one of the most disgusting shots I have ever seen casting Overwatch.
That was barbaric. And Evitol says, I don't want any of that anymore. I need a shield. He goes over to Brig. Birdring's ult could be pivotal here to let the Gladiators back into it. Coming off the spawn queue. They've already lost Muse. He had Supercharger. They might be able to buy time for him to come off the respawn, but this is not looking good for LA.
See, do this. Leaf does have this Dragon Strike as well. It can split them off when they try and recontest this, and there we go. He's going to do just that. Right around the corner. Already Arrow was being drawn as he knew Kevster was coming off for the approach to try and contest this one. Yeah, Matrix, Shu has it down. Maybe they can get a kill off the back of this one, but it's actually Birdring. The bomb, the damage, it all comes together. The Gladiators, they combine everything at their disposal. They're going to come out with the teamfight win right at the very end. Really just towards the final moments there almost. Chengdu desperate to push that one in.
I got to tell you, Brent, Birdring is turning up. In a lot of these games, in a lot of these maps where the Gladiators have won, it's been on the back of him playing the Hangzhou, finding these picks, getting these crucial engagements. And he is not stopping yet. My word, what a performance from this guy. Kevster with the battle. Normally the Tracer would be favored in this situation, but Jinmu's getting the armor packs. Get in the pocket.
44 seconds left. What a stick. Kind of almost magnetic there, attaching to the ankle. And already just putting in that damage. It forced out the Immortality field. Nicely for them, but the Chengdu Hunters haven't lost anyone yet. The heals are coming through to Holt to pull them all together. The Gladiators, you can feel that the damage is being done to them right now, and you've got to win this one out, but Jinmu, he's pulled out the blade. That's already going to be the picks going in their direction. The neutral game happening for them. Eventually, the Chengdu Hunters, only operating off a couple of the ultimates, but they are able to get that checkpoint A.
So close. 30 seconds in the time bank. And they're moving forwards. Monk takes, I think that was an arrow actually coming out from Birdring. Jinmu looks like he wants to try and chase here. Reflect arrow would be absolutely nasty. Wasn't close enough to go for a dash there and didn't have deflect online. Would have been extraordinarily dangerous. But they have pushed the Gladiators back a little, and that is a great window and a pick.
Yeah, the Holt, everything. Into the South Destruct as well. It forces out the Immortality field nice and early for them. And it's just mistimed enough. They can start pushing this cart for free right through checkpoint B. And yes, it's high ground control. It's so important. We mention it time and time again. The Gladiators have got the very difficult task now of trying to re-push into this one when the Chengdu Hunters are going to be barreling down into them. Luckily for them, Kevster is in the back line. He needs to be really cautious though.
They all know he's there. Oh, and they're going to try and fight this. They're pushing forwards. Evitol with Skewed gets that kill.
Oh, it's potentially winnable for them, even though Leaf's got that kill onto Kevster. They are going to follow up with the damage. That Dragon Strike just eventually just went straight through. Monk took him out, and Birdring's got into a nice little off-angle position. The Storm Arrows not doing too much, but the Chengdu Hunters, they're winning this one out. Muse has fallen. Birdring, oh, he's going to be next on the list. There you go, taken out straight away. It's going to be desperation now for the Gladiators.
Shu's turning it with his Amp Matrix.
With the Amp Matrix on the back. Jinmu's been taken out. I don't believe that. You have got to be kidding me. Shu comes out with the clutch ultimate. And he's no stranger to it. He loves to just pump out these ultimates to try and turn these team fights at a completely different angles when teams aren't expecting it. But to salvage it then and there, potentially game-winning.
That could have been the title-winning play from Shu. It gets them back in the game. Aggression comes out there as well. A halt forwards. That manages to find the pick. Kevster with a pulse bomb as well. Evil Tool's rally looks so sad right now. 40 seconds left for the Hunters. They are all getting sent back to the spawn queue.
If they get these stagger picks, one after the other, I mean, it is looking disastrous now for Chengdu. 27 seconds left. This could be it. The final moments right here, the Countdown Cup. In our grand finals, it's gone to the distance. Map 7 between both of these teams. I often say it's the last map that's the hardest to get against teams that are very good. Birdering, ready and waiting. The Dragon Strike, the timing of it is just a little bit off, but the hold to try and pull them back. It does force out the Immortality Field, but Chengdu, they go in with their own. The South Destruct, the bomb. It only latches onto the side of the wall. And Gladiators, they're still taking this fight. Leave is going to land the stick, which does get the D-Mech, but they need a little bit more than that now. Potentially, if Muse can go down, it might just be winnable for them. But with the Fortify in play in the Immortality Field, they have so much brawl to try and play into this one. With a Supercharger and the Amp Matrix, the damage is almost too much to try and overcome, and Leave is trying his hardest. An impeccable Immortality Field there in the final moments. Chengdu do not want to give this one up. Gaga moving over to the signature hero, but eventually he will be tracked down, and nobody can touch the point. The Los Angeles Gladiators are going to be taking away the Countdown Cup finals, and what a display from them. Map 7 all the way, the community narratives that they weren't able to adapt, that they couldn't close out series under pressure. They've completely upset all of it, and they are going to be sailing into the playoffs with all that momentum behind them.
What an absurd performance. One stage finals appearance, one stage finals title. That's how the Gladiators do it. They managed to best the Chengdu Hunters. It goes to the limit, a 5-map series the first time around. The second time, Chengdu did not make it easy for them. Gave up some early maps, but were right back in it, forced it all the way to 7. And what's going through my head over and over is that Amp Matrix play from Shu. What a individual clutch! To be able to find that off angle and get 4 picks, I believe it was, through his Amp Matrix. That is game winning. That is absurd. That is a big moment that everyone on that team will remember. It hypes you up. The morale is high. They're peaking at the right time. This is the Gladiators that was promised in the preseason.
Yeah, finally living up to the expectations that have been set for this team, and you can see how much it means to them as well. Birdering, I mean, their entire team just gathering around them as well. You can see how much it has truly, truly meant to them to be able to make it this far as well. DP hugging the players, he can't believe it.
Yeah, and there's been so much weight on the shoulders of this squad the entire year. Remember back to the very beginning of the season, they started quite poorly. I think they had a 2-2 record in the May Melee, didn't even really make it, were nowhere near the stage finals. Then they went on a bit of a run. I think it was 6-0 from then on. They looked great. We were thinking, okay, well maybe this is them playing at their peak. There were further stumbles. They weren't able to make it again. Eventually, towards the very end of this year, the final opportunity, they make it to Hawaii. First trip, first stage finals appearance, first stage finals title. I mean, this is the best moment for the Gladiators to be in this kind of form. They look scary.
Yeah, I love that as well. The final moments there when you could just see how much it meant to Birdering. He was in disbelief. He couldn't believe it. He was shaking his head the entire time as well. But let's talk about our player of the match as well. And you remember early on in the season, the player that was really setting the pace for a lot of these early map wins that they got, well, it was Kevster on the Tracer. I imagine a lot of you are going to be surprised as well. I think the recency bias of Birdering's performance at the tail end of this series, I mean, it's definitely true. Even Shu as well, yeah, closing out this overall. But early on, Kevster on the Tracer really keeping Leave in check, keeping Jinmu in check, pressuring the backline the entire time. There's definitely a firm case for him just really stealing away this player of the match award for them in this series. But overall, you've got to remember as well, it is a team effort, and the Gladiators, they won it together.
They did, yeah. And the Gladiators players all stepped up when it mattered, actually. And I think that was a severe concern from their fans. Did they have what it took? to be able to bring it in these big matches. And I think over the course of the Countdown Cup, managing to win the title without dropping a match, they didn't have to go through the lower bracket. Yeah, it was tough. Chengdu made it close, but they absolutely dismantled their Western rivals, the Atlanta Reign, and they managed to defeat the Chengdu Hunters twice. At that point, the Gladiators are clearly the best team at this moment in time in this hero pool. As for whether that extends as we go into our postseason, well, it'll be a while until we know, because they booked that guaranteed spot into the playoffs. They do not have to play in the play-ins. So the Gladiators have some time to chill out, take in what they've managed to accomplish here at the end of the regular season. And yeah, excellent final moments there for 2020.
Yeah. Excellent final as well. Went all the way.
It was.
I mean, what a fantastic finish,
really
I think,
was.
to the regular season with the tournament cycle and everything else. As you can see, we have an interview with Space coming up as well, and that's going to be after the break and the watch point post-show. Going to be breaking down all the action, but that's going to do it for the finals themselves. Thank you very much for watching for now. But of course, don't go anywhere, because there's even more breakdowns happening right after this short break. So we'll see you then.
일단 나가지 마. 너 일단 나가지 말라. 멘탈을 안 넣어도 다행이다 이거. fucking legend이야.
Welcome to the Watch Point Post Show. We're joined now by Space from Los Angeles Gladiators. Space, big congratulations on becoming our Countdown Cup champion and, of course, bringing the first championship to the Gladiators. Round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you.
How are you feeling right now?
Amazing, bro. It's still surreal to me, especially like how we won. Like Shu just played insane, like out of his mind to come up on that last map. So we're on the top of the world right now for sure.
Of course, and I would like to point out that before we get into the questions, I was the only one on the desk that predicted the Gladiators to win. Everyone else, including Costa, chose Chengdu.
That's
so
crazy,
thank you,
bro. I appreciate your support, brother. For real. Real ones recognize real ones.
Real ones recognize real ones. Yes, thank you. I needed that. Thank you so much, Space. All right, so this match was a very close match. It went the distance. It went all the way. And Chengdu Hunters, I think, put up an amazing fight until the very end. How were the Gladiators able to clutch the win? Sorry.
Yeah, so I think a lot of it was just staying in the moment for us and just forgetting about the past, because we made a lot of mistakes throughout that series. It should have been a 4-1. Honestly, it should have been a 4-0 series, I feel like, because we were playing so well. But we had just kept making mistakes, and it was like slowing us down and not really helping us with our momentum. And that Chengdu is, like, as you said, such an incredible team. They will take the advantage when they get it. So it was super momentum-based series, but we closed it out in the end, and I'm happy about that.
You mentioned there were a couple of small mistakes that you guys made. Is there like a mistake that you sort of still remember right now? Something that remember?
I'd say, honestly, probably on route, which is going on right now in the video, is just we felt like we weren't really getting on the same page. There was just like too much information, not enough shot calling and decisiveness, which is what we're known for, is like being really fast and aggressive. So it's stuff that we know and we've been through before, and we just have to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Right. And talking about your playstyle, you just mentioned that you guys are very fast and aggressive. Looking back to your previous matches, today was a little different because I feel like you guys ran a lot of the Winston dive composition. Was this sort of to counter the Chengdu Hunters, or what was the thought process behind using the Winston?
So the Winston for us was honestly just a comfort pick because we've been so good at it this whole entire season. The Winston Ana, we feel like we're the best team in the league on that comp. And I think just this match today, we felt like our ball wasn't really matching up. It was just a comfort pick for us. So we felt like, okay, just bring out the Winston Ana. That's what we know we're good at. We know we can win on that, and it worked out, and it's usually always working out for us. So that's pretty good.
Just a personal question. You mentioned that the Winston Ana composition was a comfort pick for you guys. How do you communicate for those kind of things to your team or to your your coaches and everything? Do the players sort of just say, oh, like, I think we should just roll with this because we feel comfortable doing this, or how does that go about?
Yeah, it's really all just trust and feeling out the series. I think you see like the best teams they trust each other, and you don't always have to stick to what you came into with the strategy. Right. Like, both teams are going to analyze each other, and then we're going to actually play the match, and eventually one of us is going to have to adjust, and those are the adjustments that you make. Is like, oh, I'm feeling better on the Winston, let's bring out the Winston Ana. You know what I mean? Like, just stuff like that is going to happen, and your coaches and your players, they all trust each other, and we figure out how to make it work, and that's basically it.
Yeah, and it definitely did work because you guys clearly are the champions. And speaking about becoming the champions, this was a long journey this season for the Los Angeles Gladiators. But like I said again, you guys are finally our champions for our final tournament of the Overwatch League 2021 season. Is there someone that you want to give a special shout out to, or is there anything that you want to say?
Well, special shout out to the fans, of course, that stuck through us through the tough times. This is finally our first championship in the league. So, thank you all the fans that stuck with us, and our organization and Brenda and Alex. They stayed with us and helped us get through all these tough times, and we finally paid off. Our coaching staff, amazing analysts, and everything that they did for us, and our players, and just shout out to my team, for trusting me. I've been working on myself as a leader for like 2-3 years now, and I finally got the result that I wanted. But our job's not done yet. We're still focusing on playoffs and the championship, so we'll see everybody in Texas.
All right, I'm just gonna add one more quick question. You mentioned playoffs. How confident are the Gladiators going into the playoffs?
very, very, very confident. We just need to practice hard and play hard every single day. You know, we have a very long break, and sometimes long breaks could end up backstabbing you. So you just have to work hard and stay locked in is the biggest thing. Just stay locked in, stay focused, and I know we can be the best team in the world for sure.
All right, well, that is it for the interview. Thank you so much, Space, and again, big congratulations on winning it all.
Thank you so much, bro. Appreciate you.
All right, let's head back to the desk.
Thank you so much, Danny. Thanks a bunch, of course, to Space. A huge congratulations to the LA Gladiators. They are our winners of the Countdown Cup tournament, taking the Chengdu Hunters all the way to the very end and edging it out. What a series that was. That was an insane match. And quite frankly, at the very beginning, it didn't look like it's going to be exactly that. On control, Chengdu Hunters were all in charge, and I started to fear that we just continue everything we saw yesterday, which was basically just a stroll through a 3 Overwatch town. But no, the Gladiators came back on their map pick, Anubis, map number 2, and they came back punching and kicking, all right? After that, it looked like it's going to be one side of the fair from their side. Let's just walk it back and talk about the beginning of the series once more.
Yeah, it was interesting hearing Space talk about it because he was very confident in the way that they were playing the game, and you could see that in the front half. I think a couple of things went wrong for them on this Oasis just here, and that's what gave Chengdu Hunters the win on that first map. But once you saw them get into their comfort of playing that Winston, as he just said, they looked so good. Chengdu Hunters struggled so much on this Temple of Anubis, just keeping their backline alive. Muse was just everywhere. They were unable to punish them, and it felt like Gladiators were going to run away with it because they had found out a style that could sort of slow down the Chengdu Hunters and not enable Jinmu to play that Pharah to the pedigree that they needed to play. But over time, the Hunters just sort of whittling away off of brilliant performances from Jinmu and Lee. But, you know, as he said, once you start going to the back half, it sort of flips on its head a little bit and gets a lot closer than I think a lot of Gladiators fans would hope.
Yeah, there was a lot of back and forth, especially in terms of compositions. As Costa mentioned, we saw the Winston. Muse was playing this hero Numbani. Shu backing him up with the Nano, getting the Nanos out as well. And this is what the Gladiators like doing. This is what they really were successful at the first 3 maps where they played Numbani, they won Numbani, they played Temple of Anubis, they won Temple of Anubis, and that's the Gladiators in their comfort zone. But as we got later in this series, Zoe, I mean, the map design, it changes up a bit. You have to play different kinds of compositions, and as we headed to Root, as we headed to King's Row, it slows down the game a little bit, and that enabled Chengdu to come back here.
I mean, heading into Route 66, we also saw some changes in the roster from the Chengdu Hunters, and you guys actually quickly discussed that also with our casters, Sideshow and Brent, whether or not those swaps was that planned specifically for this map or no? I think Sideshow was very much in the camp of like, yeah, that looks predetermined. But do you guys agree with that? Do you feel like that was planned all along to head on to Route 66, fielding that very roster, bringing in 2 different players? And also, did it make a difference?
I don't know. Johnny, you go. I'm not sold on it. I want to hear you so I can still
Yeah. I'm not sold on it either. I mean, Sideshow mentioned it before we headed into the game as well, that this is something they've done in this season. It has worked out for them, but like we've had times when Among just came into the game in a regular season game and popped off. The same goes for Faraway 1987 as well. So it is something the Chengdu Hunters can do. I just think it was very odd and it didn't have the same result as Monk and Yveltal had, of course, Yveltal was in the game, sorry, as Monk and Gaga had the other series the other day. I feel like maybe the only reason I can really come up with is the Gladiators have momentum in the series. They're being successful right now in the Chengdu Hunters. They want to swap up the mental. They want to break that mental for the Chengdu Hunters players and be like, hey, fresh roster, we're subbing in 2 new players into this match. They can play against the Gladiators. Let's get Gaga out, let's get Monkey out, and they can rest their mental, take a step back. But that would just be like unreal coaching at that point, like knowing your players. Yeah, this is the play of the match. I mean,
this saved the LA Gladiators right here. This flank through the old spawn. Shu drops the window, gets 3 kills, just puts out so much work. That was, without those kind of plays, your team will lose championship matches. Those are the kind of high stakes plays that you need to go for, and one of them that makes Shu an MVP candidate because he absolutely popped off. Same thing with Birdering. on that final Havana map because it could have gone either way. Jinmu was gaining traction on that Genji, and the whole of Chengdu Hunters, I think if they'd gotten that second point, the chances of them rolling through that third point was quite high. So you need to give massive props to the LA Gladiators because one of the things we're always so critical about them historically throughout their franchise is they weren't a clutch team. Every time their back was against the wall, they always fell flat. But today, we saw them rise up. Obviously, it was closer than they wanted to be, but they rose up when it mattered to win that map 7.
I need someone to come up with a line for Shu on Havana, because that's the second time he's clutched out on Baptiste on Havana. He did it first against the Shock, remember? Jumped up. Now he clutched out on Havana against the Chengdu Hunters, just utilizing his window. I mean, the guy is insane. That's the play of the match. Of
Honestly,
course,
I do think the other pop-off he had, like the one at the very end, point 3, where he like jumped up onto the second, like that one was an insane play.
Surreal.
Like that's actually surreal. Like the amount of guts you have to do that. I don't even.
I just heard our producers say Havana Shunana.
Shunana.
I'm sorry, it doesn't.
Like it wasn't quite what we would take it, Nick. Why not? Why not?
I don't want to think about Camilla Cabello every time I just go into Havana with Shu in it. Like I don't.
Well, this was a great game. Honestly, could have gone either way, but I'm just glad it went all the way. That's what matters the most. Because again, yesterday it was a more one-sided affair between all those teams. So it was great to see them really, really bringing it to the end here and then getting that title. Now, right, it is time to look back at our prediction, which is one game. So, you know,
Danny, congrats.
There we go.
You know what? It doesn't matter. I could be last.
Regular season.
Yeah, I could be last. It's fine. This is what it matters. This is what I wanted to win. I'm happy. Yes, I am the winner. I'm happy with this. All right.
I also love that that's how you started your interview with Space. Like,
I
know you just won. I predicted you. Yeah, I did.
It's like, sure, that's interesting that you won, but really I'm the winner here. Like, absolutely love it. And speaking of winners, of course, Costa, he did it, man. He did it. He pushed me off my throne. He's taking the crown, and it pains me to say it, but all hail to our new prediction king, Costa. Congratulations.
Give me the
there
crown.
we go.
Wow. No one's gonna clap for him? Am I the only one who's clapping?
Why not?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
It's all right.
Thanks,
well,
man.
anything you want to say to your fans, singular, or to your cats?
Yeah, shout outs to Mum. You know, she's always supported me in my predictions. She did a great job. All the fans who like to abuse me and tell me I know nothing, you know, look at me now. I got a crown to tell you. So, yeah, you take it. Take it, Johnny. You said you were going to win.
Me? Oh, that's true.
But yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, I think Johnny's the real loser here. It's not Danny or I. It's really
this is my first year. That's fine. I'm fine. You know. Yeah. Next year.
Also, you predicted with your heart, and I respect that. You know.
It did work out when I was predicting with my heart when the season first started, and then I started using my little bit of brain cells that I have, and then everything went downhill. Yeah, maybe.
Well, that's how it goes with predictions. You either have a good start or not, but then you get lost in the sauce of like numbers and statistics and things, and then you start pulling the Johnnies where you start looking up which maps are coming up. And, oh God, I'm gonna get really into this. And that's where
just predict the better teams. That's all we gotta do. And I couldn't do it.
Easy.
I just picked the worst teams.
We all apparently couldn't, just cussed out. So once again, congratulations. I'll let you revel.
Rematch playoffs?
And you know, exactly. I think we're gonna roll it back, make a playoffs prediction call as well. See what's at stake there. But don't go anywhere, because after the break, we are going to tell you everything you need to know about the postseason play-ins. So more Watch Point post show coming up right after this.
Can I go with this?
Wow. Comfortable crown.